talking about, We back, Ratchet Gang. We back with another one. We back with another banger. Let's get the likes up. Look, you might have forgot. Hell, they might have forgot. But you already know it's the king. Too loyal. No, I'm talking about Ratchet TV. Hey, y'all already know, man. Y'all already know. Get the likes up if you in the building. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Tap that notification bell so you can get the drop whenever I drop. All right, so boom. Man. We got to talk, Ratchet Gang. Look, tonight we got to chop it up. Wasn't even going to go live, but I was like, you know what? Now might be a real good time to do this live because verdict is right around the corner. The Diddy case, as we know it, is pretty much, it's over. There ain't too much more to talk about at this point. Hold on, I did see a couple of donations before I got on the stream. I think, let's see, we got $20 on screen. Thank you to Cinnabon. Salute to Cinnabon. Says, let's get into it. Support the channel and hit the like button on the way in the door. Salute to Cinnabon for that $20. I appreciate you. Salute to Paul for that gifted membership. I appreciate you. Salute. I appreciate y'all, man. Double tap that screen, get these likes up, man. Double tap that screen. Like I said, I wasn't going to go live, but I was like, you know what? I got to do this for the gang, man. It's only right that we got to see this shit out, right? So I got some good news today, y'all. Do y'all want some good news? Let me know in the chat. I need to see the chat come in. I got some good news for y'all. I got some breaking news for you. Some good news. I'm finna give y'all a gem right now before we start this live. But I need y'all to double tap that screen. Come on, as you come into the live, if you want this good news, double tap that screen, man. You gotta double tap that screen. Say yes, Lord. Do y'all want some good news? Cause I got some good news for y'all today, man. I got some real good news. I got some real good news. All right. Man. Y'all ain't double tapping that screen, though. Come on, man. Y'all been tripping on these likes lately. I don't know what it's been. It's like ever since we've been covering this Diddy case. Have y'all just noticed since we started covering the Diddy case, like really getting into it, a lot of stuff started getting weird on this platform. Is my audio good, by the way? Let me know, because yesterday said my audio was choppy. I don't know how that happened, but let me know in the chat, is the audio good? Can y'all let me know? Let me see. Let me know in the chat, is the audio good? Can y'all let me know? Let me see. It sound good to me. Let me know in the chat. It sound good to me. You notice, yeah, it's been getting weird as hell. This mic sound nice. All right, salute. It said, you sound good. Why haven't I been getting you? They haven't not wanted me in the damn algorithm, bro. I guess I don't know what the hell's been. You know, it's been loose. We've been doing what we can, man. We just been going live every night, man. That's all I can say. We just been staying steady and going live, man. So we live damn near every night. I took a couple nights off here and there because I did feel like it's weird energy in the air. I can't explain it. The energy around everything has just been freaking weird, bro. It's been real weird. So I got some good news for y'all. So with it being the verdict, I made everybody a promise. I don't know if y'all remember this, but I told y'all something had to happen around verdict time. Didn't I tell y'all? And I told y'all it's something we got to do then, and we're going to have to do again. I told y'all we got to do something then, and we got to double back and do it again. Can y'all tell me in the chat what I'm about to tell y'all? Can y'all tell me in the chat what I'm about to tell y'all before we even get started? Let's see. Get the likes up, man. Double tap that screen. Let's get it to 200 likes. Let's go. All right. Let's see if anybody in the chat. Let's see if anybody in the chat is up on game. It said going back to New York. Well, Tanya Dozier, going back to New York. Patricia Snell says, let me turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. Hold on. My bad. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. All right. You're going back to New York. You're going back. Diddy walking. Okay, so I think the chat understands that we on a mission over here, right? We on a mission to get the truth out. We're on a mission to expose everything, right? And we went inside that courtroom. We did what we were supposed to do. Now it's verdict week. Ratchet Gang is going back to New York. Trip is already booked. We on our way to NYC again. We doubling back and we doing it again. So just know I told y'all I wasn't done and I wasn't playing. I told y'all we're doing a lot of traveling this year, man. So we're on a mission. I had to come back and handle some stuff. We gotta go right back out there. Now that I got a lot of stuff out the way, it's time that we get back to New York, man, and we finish this case just like we've been exposing the entire truth of what's really going on. We covered it from our point of view. We covered it from the courtroom. We covered it from the back end. Now we're finna go right back in and do it again. So we will definitely be back in the building for the verdict. We're gonna be there. So I'm not sure how long it's gonna take them to even get to a verdict. I ain't really sure. That's a Diddy will be walking. But I did do a poll in the chat. I want everybody to vote on this poll. I said, what will the verdict be? Now, is Diddy coming home? 57% of the room right now seems to think Diddy's coming home, and 43% say he's staying in jail. It's over. Let me know in the chat by voting on that poll. What do you guys think the verdict will be? And if you just want to let your verdict be known in the chat, just go ahead and say it. Do you think Diddy is guilty or not guilty? What do y'all think? Diddy is guilty or not guilty? Can y'all say it in the chat as y'all vote on that poll? If you want to tell everybody what you said or what you voted, how do y'all feel? Is Diddy coming home or is Diddy cooked? Is this over? Let me know in the chat. I want everybody in this building to hit that like button. Let's go double tap that screen and let's get this live started. We got a lot to talk about. All right. Man. All right, let's get to it, man. So, with it being verdict week, we've seen this case completely make everybody 1 minute feel one way, in the next minute feel another way. I think I was one of the people that is very guilty of 1 minute I feel like this case is not a case at all. Then the next minute I'm like, well, damn, they might got Diddy by the whoop-de-whoops. They might got Diddy grabbing him by his whoop-de-whoops at this point. Because I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. Because 1 minute he looked like he guilty, 1 minute he looked like he not guilty. I mean, he looked guilty as hell, I mean, regardless of the fact. But have they done enough to prove their case? That's just what it all comes down to at this point. Diddy and his team decided we're calling no witnesses. And this is just from my knowledge of being in courtrooms, from my knowledge of covering these cases, this is what I get from what Diddy's defense did. It wasn't a point to prove anything other than what they're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me make this make sense for y'all. Diddy's defense's team just said, we're only going to discredit what they're saying. The only defense that we probably have in this situation is to completely fuck up what they're saying. We can't go anything further than, we can't go past further than where they're going, because we're going to get in deep waters and fuck ourselves. Think about it. Diddy, you got a lot of fucking dirt. You got a lot of skeletons in your closet. You got a lot going on, fam. So there's going to be a lot of blood spilled as far as all your shit going to hit the fan. Everything that you ever did is going to hit the fan. All we got to do is disprove the allegations they're making against you. They bring Cassie up there, we discredit her. They bring Mia up there, we discredit her. They bring Deontay, discredit. This person, discredit. Any witness, we want to break every witness. We want to be as aggressive as we can with some of these. And what I mean witnesses, those experts. People that probably could pull a lot of weight. Like when you get the Mia Hughes lady that comes in and she's over the domestic violence and she's giving her hypothesis, analysis, whatever you will. She's giving it a complete breakdown of exactly why Cassie probably was acting in that way. Now the jury probably leaned a little bit like, damn, maybe they do got a point. Maybe she was coerced. Then their job is to come in and be like, no, fuck all that. She definitely was with the play. She wanted it. She loved it. just discredit everything that they're saying. So I don't know. In the jury's mind, do you guys feel like they did enough and Diddy's finna come home? Or do you feel like this is just a wrap and Diddy is probably cooked, man? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the chat. Says I wish they could have got him for those red runs he did. The crazy part is they didn't get Diddy for none of the stuff that we could probably collectively put together. We could probably, as a collective, put a nice solid RICO for Diddy. I just don't think a lot of this stuff would have been in it. The whole RICO was centered around Cassie. I told y'all that from jump. Y'all said I was wrong. A lot of people owe me apologies for a lot of stuff that has happened in this. I told y'all Gina wasn't gonna take the stand. I told y'all KK wasn't gonna cross Diddy. I told y'all D-Rock wasn't finna get up there and cross Diddy. I told y'all Harv Pierre wasn't gonna be involved in this shit. I told y'all the whole Bad Boys that no one is finna get up there and flip on him except for those little crumbs that they did collect. The Mias and Deontay's and the people in the crew who still wanted to be there from day fucking one. The people who still begged to be in his presence from day one. No one, to me, was coerced into this lifestyle. I think this is a group of people who are addicted to drugs and sex. That's just my analysis from this is a group of people who are all fucked up in the head. All of these people had some sick shit that they was doing. It wasn't just Diddy. They all was doing it. But now he's in trouble. You want to get out of jail free card, so I just need you to do this for me. You need to say, Diddy did this, and you felt like this. And you got to convince that jury, or else you're going to be doing 50 years with Diddy. You're going to be doing 100 years life in jail with Diddy. Now, do you want that? Do you want to be going down for the rest of your life for his mistakes? All I need you to do is get up there and tell every crime you committed, but I want you to say you felt like this while you were doing it, and you felt like you had to do it because of him. I need you to say this for me and keep going over them. That's why you meet 27 times with a witness, because y'all putting this elaborate story together. That's why people testimonies started wavering and changing and started to look like, are you being paid by the feds or are you being paid by Diddy? What the fuck is going on here? There's been a lot of weird stuff going on with the P. Diddy case, man. It's been a lot. So the only thing that I can do is go back out to New York and we go get facts. Again, it's time for us to go back in and do this all over again, Ratchet Gang. So I need y'all to double tap the screen. Salute, salute, salute. Who threw up that 20-piece? Salute to Capri for that 30-piece. Damn, I appreciate that 30-piece. Capri, salute, salute. We got $50 on the screen already. Come on, y'all double tap the screen. Get us to 200 likes. Let's go. Are y'all ready to get this story going tonight? Let me know in the chat, man. So I did ask y'all in the poll, what will the verdict be? 56% of the room, 55 now say Diddy is coming home. 45% of the room says he's staying in jail. It's over. 56 to 44 now. So keep voting on the poll, man. I want to know how y'all feel. We only got 200 some votes on the poll right now, but I want to see everybody vote on the poll, and I want to know exactly what y'all think, man. Is he coming home or is he not coming home? Because you just got to put yourself in the mind of a jury now. We've all seen all this shit happen. It was a case that was completely centered around Cassie. The entire case, like I said this from jump, and everybody doubted me on this. I really don't be getting enough respect, dog, because I was telling y'all from jump, fam, this how the case gonna go. This is exactly what's gonna happen. They don't got nothing. They just got these people. No, Ratchet, that Cassie's not the star witness. There's gonna be another star witness. That this is just the start of it with Cassie. They're building it. They're building it, Ratchet. You just gotta wait. They're building it. What star witness did they have? Who was the star witness? Kid Cudi's testimony is complete. They don't even want to mention that charge whenever they let the jury decide on if he's free or not. They said, you know what, the arson, let's throw that out the window. We're not even worried about the arson. The kidnapping, no, we're not really worried about that either. So we're just not going to mention it. I mean, we're not dropping the charges. I mean, you might as well drop. What the fuck you mean you're not dropping them? If you don't want the jury to listen to this while they take everything about the arson out of the arsenal. Take the kidnapping away. Take the attempted kidnapping away. Just pretend like you never heard that. What? The fuck does that mean? We're just going to disregard all that. So you spent all these days proving that he committed arson and kidnapped these people, And you spend all this time just to say, let's really not focus on that. Let's chill on that. That's on the back burner. We really can't prove that, but we proved it, but we didn't. So we're gonna disregard all that, and then we're gonna focus on this. Let's focus on the forced labor. Let's focus on the trafficking with Cassie. Let's focus on Cassie and how she felt. Let's focus in on Cassie and how she felt. Like I said, this is a whole RICO centered around the Cassie lawsuit. They used Cassie's lawsuit and built a RICO around everything Cassie said. Well, if that was the case, why the fuck Jaguar Wright not up there? Why the hell? Where the hell? Go subpoena Allie fucking Carter. If this is the case, you go get Gene Deal big ass off these comfortable couches and put his big ass on that damn stand. And what the hell is we talking about? You bringing up stuff that happened back in 2005. You can't even mention this in a RICO. What are y'all doing? You might as well go get Gene Deal big ass from eating potato chips in interviews and shit. Go get Gene Deal. Go grab Lil Rod. Where the hell is he? You put Don Richard up there. Where the hell is Lil Rod at? They just said Lil Rod was sitting in the courtroom. You Lil Rod come up to the stage. Bring Lil Rod ass up there. Talking about, man, what the hell is going on? Man, I want to know what the hell is going on. What y'all think, man? I think if he wasn't, I think if he walks, it won't be long before they hit him with something else. Feds won't let up. Yeah, I think California gonna end up coming for him too. Florida. They said, Chanel, I agree. They said, when you come in, make sure you hit the like button. Yeah, make sure y'all double tap that screen and get these likes up, man. So what y'all think gonna happen? They said, right, Ratchet. What y'all think gonna happen, man? Let me know in the chat. Just tell me in the chat or just vote on that poll, because right now, we still ain't got 300 votes on that poll. Y'all tweaked out, man. What the hell? We still ain't got 300 votes on the poll? Vote on the damn poll. Anyway, 54% of the room say Diddy is coming home. Well, the prosecution laid their case to rest. The defense said, we're not going to bring anybody in there, man. We're going to just chill on it. Can anybody in the room tell me, why do you think that the defense called no witnesses and Diddy didn't take the stand? What is the reasoning in behind Diddy not taking the stand, and what is the reason why they did not bring any of their own witnesses? Why do you guys think so? They said, how long do you think the verdict will be? I know I was talking to Armand earlier. He was like, he don't even think it'll be 2 or 3 days. I was like, but you don't think so? I'm thinking more 4 or 5 days. I don't think this is an easy thing to just go in a room and do. I think that in my mind, if I'm on the jury, if you put it like this, let's just say we're debating right now. Someone is talking to me. I feel like they haven't presented their case. The case is over, so there's really nothing else to debate about. I still feel in my mind, this is how I feel. And I'm talking across from someone who feels like, you know what? I feel like they got a solid case. I think Diddy is cooked. Is there anything that that person can say to me or I can say to them that's going to change their mind, no matter how much we debate? If you feel like Diddy is innocent and if you feel like Diddy is guilty and I feel like Diddy is innocent of the charges they presented, then is there anything I could say to you to change your mind? Is there anything you think you could say to me that could change my mind? So you got to think about that like we're on a jury now. You got to debate with this person and convince them to stop thinking like that. The feds couldn't convince you that this was a RICO. Now the jury has to convince you to feel how they feel, or it's going to be a hung jury. Because in my mind, I'm really like, fam, I'm staying on what I don't care how long y'all debate. Y'all go talk over there and come back to me, and I'm still going to say not guilty. I'm still going to say it because I don't feel like they got a case. So there's nothing y'all could debate all day and night. I'm still, all right, Ratchet, not guilty. Look, God damn it, Ratchet, we got, everybody is saying, I guess it's hung. Fuck it. I don't know. Ain't nothing you could do. It's a hung jury is the verdict. So what I'm saying, I'm just really just throwing an analogy out there to let you know, like, if 2 people is in a debate room or the verdict, when they're trying to come up with the verdict, they're not going, it's really, what can you do to convince somebody that he's innocent, and what can you do to convince somebody that he's guilty that feel like he's innocent or feel like he's guilty? So It might take more than a day or two, I think so. Smash them likes. Salute to Demetrius Chapman. I appreciate you, Demetrius. I didn't know where the hell you been. I ain't seen you in the chat in a minute, man. I give you a wrench back, but I don't know where the hell you been, man. I ain't seen you in a minute, I don't think. Salute to Angie for being a member for 39 months. Says Ratchet Gang is the greatest of all. Salute to Angie. I appreciate you. Salute, salute, salute. All right, so we got a lot of videos to play tonight. We got to get into this P. Diddy situation. So are you guys ready? I want to know what the fuck you think finna happen, y'all. This is it. This is the moment we all been waiting for. Some of y'all are going to say, Ratchet, I told you so, he's gone. Ratchet, you was wrong. And I'm going to say, hey, it is what it is. I mean, hey, I ain't got no horse in this race. So if Diddy come back guilty of charge and he gone and they end up sentencing his ass to life, I'm just going to say, damn, I was wrong. All right, well, y'all got that. On the other hand, if this shit comes back hung or not guilty, and Diddy walks out that courtroom, if this is a shot in the fucking dark. I don't know. I think that in my mind, they're gonna convict him and they're gonna put him, because I'm thinking like they're trying their hardest. I don't really know, especially mixing up the jurors and shit like that. So Diddy is like in no man's land at this point. They want him so bad. I don't really know how he can duck it. I believe in my mind that they have not presented a proper case. I don't feel like they got a solid case. So therefore, I'm going to say, to me, he's not guilty. And if that happens, a lot of people are going to lose credibility. If he gets found guilty, I lose no credibility. I lose nothing. I got nothing to lose in this because I never was biased. I gave you the facts. And I stood on business. I never got emotional when it came to the P. Diddy case, not once. I kept it right down the middle and only gave you facts. And when Diddy was cooked, I told you, man, they fucking him up right now. I don't know, y'all. Diddy might not make it about it this one. So I've never wavered from the truth. Was here last night. All right, my bad, man. My bad. Let me give you a wrench back. My fault. Hold on. What the hell I can't? Let me do it on my phone. Give me a second. Let me do it on my phone. No, you are a moderator. Oh, my bad. I don't know why. It looked like you didn't have a wrench on my. Okay, no, you good. You still a mod. I don't know what the hell. I don't know why I thought I didn't see the mod wrench. Anyway, all right. They was trying to make an example out of him. Nah, facts. They really trying to make one. Let me get my wrench back. I don't even know who the hell you are. It's my young Jay. Man, but I'll put your ass in timeout for breaking my concentration. Say again, you kept it 100. Man, I kept it 1,000,000 with this case. So anyway, let's get back to it. P. Diddy, he's in no man's land right now. It's a shot in the dark, but if it comes back that he's not guilty, a lot of people been given a lot of misinformation when it comes to the Diddy case. I ain't calling no names, and all I'm gonna say is there's been a lot of misinformation. I sat right up there in the courtroom on a lot of these days, and then I'm listening to exactly what's going on in the courtroom. I'm right there, front and center. I'm looking at P. Diddy right there. I can see him. I see him right there. I see his family sitting right in front of me. I hear everything that happened in the courtroom that day. And then people still give misinformation on what the facts were. You're not presenting facts. You're still giving a narrative. Where's the facts at? At this point, you're writing down what the fuck you think you're hearing. Like, that's not what the fuck that happened. I ain't gonna call no names out. All I'm gonna say is there's been a lot of misinformation in this case. And we gonna clean it up. Oh, we gonna clean it up. I gotta get back to New York. We gotta finish this job, gang. What do y'all think? Should we go back to New York? I mean, the trip is booked. But what do y'all think? You think it's a good idea for us to pop back out in New York? Let me know. Do you think it's a good idea to pop back out in New York, man, and finish this damn case like we started it? They say Diddy walking. If the crime don't fit, you must acquit. So he has to be found guilty of at least 2 charges, and most of these charges are state charges. All right, man, we finna see. So we at the end of the road. We about to get to this damn Diddy case. Let's Let's chop it up, man. I want to talk to y'all tonight, man. We're going to have a conversation. Are y'all ready to have a conversation? All right, let's get to these videos, man. Let's have a conversation on everything that's been going on in that courtroom, man. All right, let's go, Ratchet Gang. Hold on. Let's go, Ratchet Gang. Man, man, man. Man, man, man. All right, let's go. I have to raise my shit up. Hold on. Let's raise it up. All right, there we go. We cool like that. Are we good like that, gang? Man, man, man. Are we good like that? Let me know in the chat. Are we good like that? Let me know in the chat. Are we good like that? Let me know in the chat. They wanted to embarrass him. Yeah, this was more about embarrassing Diddy than it was proving it. I mean, come on, dog. They spent 75% of the time focused in on Diddy liked baby oil. Diddy loved Astroglide. Diddy loved to watch in the corner. Diddy was doing this in the corner. Diddy was demanding of this while he was doing this in the corner. Diddy did this to Cassie. Diddy was abusive. Diddy liked applesauce on his cheeseburgers. Diddy was abusive. Diddy likes baby oil. Diddy likes Astroglide. Diddy loves applesauce. Diddy is violent. Diddy loves baby oil. Baby oil. Baby oil. Astroglide. 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 Cassie beating. Cassie beating. Cassie beating. Cassie said this. Friend says this. Cassie says this. Friend says this. Hearsay, 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 but it ain't hearsay because they're a victim. Get the fuck out of here, man. They spent the whole entire case talking about Cassie and her friends, who also were up there on the stand and still talk to Cassie till this day. So what are we talking about? Double tap that screen. We need 20 people to double tap that screen and get us to 300 likes. Let's go, gang. We've been loose on these likes. Now let's get it right. And so that's why they dropped the state charges and it's just feds. Exactly. They dropped the state charges. The feds said, let's focus in on this. But this is not proven beyond a reasonable doubt to me. But a lot of people going to feel how they feel. So like I said, my mind is still on what it's been on. I don't know how y'all feel in the chat. If you think Diddy is innocent, drop the gems. If you think Diddy is guilty, drop the fire emojis. If you think Diddy is innocent, drop the gems. If you think he's guilty, drop the fire emojis for he gonna get cooked. Let me know in the chat. What y'all think, man? Said law is law. Not facts, Anthony. Law is law. And if we going off some of the technicalities here, he gonna get charged with something. Will he get charged with the RICO, though? He gonna get charged with something, maybe. I think 9 times out of 10, he gonna get something. But there's a chance Diddy walks out that courtroom, man. There is a chance Diddy walks out that courtroom. And if that happens, it's a lot of people that's going to be, there's going to be a lot of credibility lost. Damn, it's a lot of people to say Diddy is cooked. There's a lot of people to say Diddy is cooked right now, y'all. Honey Trap said Diddy is cooked. Diddy is guilty, y'all? They saying Diddy guilty. If Diddy is innocent, flood the chat with gems. If Diddy is guilty, flood the chat with fire emojis. Let me know in the chat. Y'all better represent real quick before we get this video started. Let me know how y'all feeling. Flood the chat. Gems or fire emojis. Is Diddy guilty? TTD, but where is your damn membership? All right, they said, it's a lot of fire emojis in here. I ain't gonna lie. There is a lot of fire emojis in here. They saying Diddy is cooked. They saying Diddy is cooked. Damn, y'all. They saying Diddy is cooked. Say doing time for tricking. Yeah, when did the trick go down? You know what I'm saying? The pimp just laughing at this. Like, oh, man, damn, they got Buddy. You were tricking like a mother, too. They saying Diddy is more, okay, there go the gems. There's a lot of fire emojis in here, but there go some gems. Okay, we finna see what's up. Oh, man. They in here representing. All right, y'all, let's see what's going on in the court, man. Let's chop it up.
Closing arguments have officially begun. Today, the prosecutors will do their closing arguments. Tomorrow, Diddy's team will do his. and then likely on Monday, the case will be turned over to the jury. Quickly, I give you guys a summary of what happened, but I think it's best to hear exactly what the prosecutor is saying, so I will be reading that instead. Obviously, she's not done. She's gonna go on for a while, so I will come and update you guys every hour of what has been said. And so they begin. Over the last few weeks, we've learned that Sean Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's into kidnapping, arson, forced labor, bribery of a security officer, and the brutal crimes of trafficking. Consider 2 moments. March of 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel, the defendant got violent with Cassie. You saw what happened. He dragged her back to the freak-off. 2024 at Jane's house, the defendant choked and hit her. She ran, couldn't get away. These are chapters in the same book. The defendant counted on silence and shame. He thought that his fame and wealth and power put him above the law. Over the last 7 weeks, you've heard how he used his staff to promote his power. No one could stop him. We'll talk about RICO, including trafficking and transportation for prostitution, which are also separately charged as standalone crimes. You may have heard of racketeers. When someone commits crimes as part of a group, they are more dangerous. A group of people whose purpose was to serve and protect the defendant. It's his kingdom. Everyone was there to serve him, fulfilling all his desires, including his sexual desires.
Okay, so with that being said, why is this a RICO? And this question still hasn't been answered. And I've been the one asking it from day one. And I told y'all that these said people were not going to flip on Diddy. KK didn't flip on Diddy. Harv Pierre didn't flip on Diddy. D-Rock didn't flip on Diddy. D-Rock's brother didn't flip on Diddy. None of the security flipped on Diddy. None of his real staff flipped on him. All the people with the real gems and the real receipts and the people who should be co-defendants and never got charged in this RICO, this criminal organization, they didn't even cooperate. So why the fuck are they not charged? Why are they not charged? Can anybody in the chat explain that to me? Why is Harv Pierre not charged? Why is none of the security charged? Why is Courtroom, KK, Christina, why is she not charged? Why is none of the staff charged? Say Frank Black and Frank White. Say you're totally right. Said next Friday is a holiday. Jury will want to go home. Said he coming home. No one is. Man. So what? KK trying to act like she didn't know Ish, but they got text messages from KK. That's what I'm saying, bro. They got all this evidence that says she was involved in some of this shit. They put her name in every portion of this case, and they never called her to the stand. She was never subpoenaed to come to the stand. Why did they not subpoena Jean, Jaguar Wright, and others? No, that's what I'm saying. You didn't subpoena Jaguar Wright. All the shit evidence she said she had. You didn't investigate that. You didn't investigate what Jaguar Wright said. You didn't investigate what Ali Carter said. You didn't investigate any of it. I mean, they probably lying, but you didn't investigate it. You want to cook Diddy. They got evidence within the last 10 years that he committed RICO acts. And they got the children, they said. They said it was children and all this other stuff. You didn't investigate none of that? You didn't investigate the kids? But you want to give us Astroglide. You didn't investigate the children in the underground tunnels. You know why? Because your friends who were in those freak-offs, that's why you didn't show the tapes. Because your friends who were in those tapes don't want this information getting out. And you know everything is going to go crashing down if the real names get mentioned. So what the fuck is really going on in the P. Diddy case? Yeah, you didn't investigate Orlando Brown. Said KK going to jail next. They could have took deals or they could be charged later. We don't really know, but we will know when he's found guilty. They said they only want Diddy. OJ Simpson got away with unalive. They said they protecting politicians and law enforcement officials. They're protecting those underground tunnels that do exist. That's what they're protecting. Let's continue.
We need to show at least 2 racketeering crimes. The defendant was the head of the Combs enterprise. There was an inner circle, his chief of staff and his bodyguards. The names changed, but the roles remained the same. You've heard about KK, Combs' right brain. She lived in 2 stars. She communicated with the defendant's girlfriends. His security, you heard their names. D-Rock, Bonds, Rube, Uncle Polly, Fahim. They were armed and ready. Remember the incident at the diner with Suge Knight? David James told you Combs had weapons. In the search, law enforcement found pew-pews, including a rifle with the serial number defaced in LA, 2 AR-15s with the serial numbers cut out in the defendant's closet. We also have the rotating cast of assistants paid by the defendant's business. Brendan Paul said he made $100K a year. KK made 6 times that. When your boss asks you to buy substances, you're committing a crime. When you kidnap someone or lock his girlfriend in a hotel room after your boss stomps on her face, it's a crime. The law does not require us to know that they like committing these crimes. You saw KK shining the defendant to not be so reckless, but she got him cash, substances. She was a member of the enterprise. It impacted interstate commerce. Minimal is fine. Combs knowingly became a member. He was the boss. He was the through line. The racketeering acts: distribution of substances, kidnapping, arson, bribery, facilitating as trafficking of Cassie and Jane, forced labor, travel of commercial sex, cover up. You only need to find more than 2. Let's start with substances, an essential ingredient of freak-offs. The most involved were D-Rock, KK, and Fahim, but others helped keep the substance supply high. We are not talking about Mary J, but what Brendan Paul called hard substances. These are stipulations of the substances found in the searches: coke, meth, oxy, K, a dissociative drug, GHB, mushrooms, Molly, Tuesday, a combination dyed pink. The quantities are not relevant. It's not an element of this crime. Distribution does not require a sale. You know the names of the dealers by now: Guido, One Stop, Baby Girl. Jane told you that on 2 occasions she was told to bring substances when she flew to meet him. She coordinated with KK. It's corroborated by text messages. KK told Jane to swing by Mapleton to pick up the Guido package. He was called during hotel night, so we know what the Guido package was. More X. The security team knew what it was. Guido texted Fahim, Puff has a $450 balance with me. Brendan Paul asked for $780 of personal Gucci items. That is hard substances. Substances were distributed. It doesn't matter he wasn't buying kilos or selling them. Personal use is just a distraction. They bought and distributed to people around him. Cassie used substances at every freak-off supplied by the defendant. He introduced Jane to substances, gave them...
Okay, so right there, do you guys feel like the fact that they were using drugs in the F-offs, do you feel like that's like drug trafficking in a sense? Or I don't really see. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a bunch of people who love doing drugs, bro. Like, this is drug addicts. Like, yeah, you're buying in bulk and passing them around to your friends, but I don't really feel like you're doing it with the intent of trafficking. I don't think so. I think y'all are just doing it because that's how y'all have fun, and this is what you guys enjoy. I don't feel like he's passing them around with the intent of, it's like this is a RICO. Nah, I just think that this is just a dude who did a lot of drugs. This is my personal use. Man, come on, dog. That was just what he liked doing. I don't really see it, but yeah, I don't know, y'all. Y'all tell me.
To her at all but one hotel night. He gave substances to Carrie Morgan and Banna Bongolan. He made Brendan Paul try Tuesday to see if it was good. D-Rock would text One Stop, need to see someone for bro. That is the defendant. Guido asked Fahim to cover the defendant's substance debt. KK knew he was distributing substances to the women for the Wild King night. Jane told KK she was having a bad come down. KK gives pro tips how to deal with it. Plain and simple, this is substance distribution. She stops here with the substances and then gets into kidnapping, and I will continue that in the next part. Closing arguments have officially begun. Today, the prosecutors will do...
Man. What y'all think? So that's them laying out their case on Mr. Diddler. That's them laying out their case. Let's continue.
Part 2 of the prosecutor's closing arguments. How about kidnapping? They committed them under both California and New York law. Consider Cassie. Bond made her stay put. The defendant called Cassie a slut. He stomped on her face. She was disfigured. Roger Bonds caught her and brought her back. The defendant made her go to the London Hotel on Sunset so no one saw her. She wanted to go home to her mom, but no. Cassie did not consent to staying in the London Hotel. David James testified the defendant demanded to see his search history if he had posted that the defendant assaulted Cassie in the club. Then there's Capricorn Clark. They made her take a lie detector test for days in an empty office building in Manhattan. This was in 2004. She was holding expensive jewelry that went missing. Uncle Polly took her to the future HQ of Bad Boy. She was tested for 5 lies. The man admitted During the test told her if she failed, she'd end up in the East River. In Central Park, the defendant told her if anything happened, he'd have to unalive her. David James remembers this. He was tested too to get the rat out of the team. In December 2011, Rube helped the defendant kidnap Capricorn Clark. It started on December 22nd, 2011. The defendant banged on Capricorn's door with a pew-pew. He was out for revenge. He barked an order at Capricorn, "Get dressed, we're going to unalive Cuddy." He drove to Kid Cuddy's house. The defendant had a pew-pew in his lap. This was kidnapping. He moved her a substantial distance.
You can hear it? I don't know if they're trolling or what. Miles, are we good? Miles, are we good? Yo, stop it. Let me see. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on, give me a second. All right, we good? Oh, shit, hold on. All right, what about now? Let me know if are we good? 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 I just refreshed it. Are we good? All right, cool. My bad. I don't know what the hell happened. I know it's an echo because I have my other live right here. We good though. All right, we good.
The defendant said he wouldn't let her go until she brought him Cassie.
I'm gonna run it back since y'all since the sound messed up. My bad. I don't know what happened. We good though? Everything good? Drop the gems if we good, yo. We good? We good? My bad. I don't know what happened.
2011. Defendant banged on Capricorn's door with a pew-pew. He was out for revenge. He barked an order at Capricorn, "Get dressed, we're going to unalive Cuddy." They drove to Kid Cudi's house. The defendant had a pew-pew in his lap. This was kidnapping. He moved her a substantial distance. The defendant said he wouldn't let her go until she brought him Cassie, who he kicked when she arrived into fetal position. Cassie, who was with Kid Cudi that morning, testified to this. The officer who responded to the 911 call saw a black Escalade registered to Bad Boy. Then on January 12, 2012, the defendant had Kid Cudi's car set on fire. Arson. Someone cut a hole in the roof of Kid Cudi's car and dropped in a Molotov cocktail. We're not suggesting the defendant cut the hole. He didn't even buy his own suit. You heard the voice notes. He said he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. What are the odds? He says it and it happened. The coincidences just keep on coming. The defendant and Rube just happened to be there a few weeks before. Kid Cudi was driving the same Porsche the night of the trespass. What are the odds? Kid Cudi had conflicts with no one except the defendant. Then D-Rock brought Kid Cudi to the defendant, who was looking like a Marvel supervillain. Years later, the defendant apologizes to Kid Cudi. And then there's bribery. The 2016 video, the defendant was having a freak off with Cassie and one of the escorts, Jules. Flores found the defendant sitting in a chair with what he called a devilish stare. In the room, he saw another man. The defendant tried to hand Flores a stack of money. It was his first attempt at a bribe that day. As Cassie leaves, Combs starts damage control. He called Cassie a dozen times. The text messages, "Call me, cops are here." He was just manipulating her, but the defendant knew he could be arrested. There was video of the assault. He went and banged on Cassie's door with a hammer. Neighbors were going to call the police. They did in fact go. Carrie Morgan had the LAPD card. AK suggests say they had a fun drunk night. She calls and reaches Eddie Garcia. Eddie says no. Then KK shows up in person. He won't show her, but says off the record, it's bad. KK has the defendant call Eddie on his personal cell phone. Once Eddie says his boss will do it for $50K, the defendant calls him Eddie, my angel. That's how he's saved in the cell phone. Eddie goes to deliver the USB. D-Rock and KK are there. The defendant counted out dollar by dollar the bribe. Eddie told you the security card told him he came up with the defendant. That was D-Rock. Eddie asked the defendant, what if Cassie calls police? So the defendant knew. Eddie finds the ID of stand in for Flores. NDAs are signed. Don't speak to anyone. Police involvement would hurt him. The two are connected. Next, racketeering predicate is trafficking. That I'll do in the next video.
Whew, man. So they said they're proving everything. They're proving the kidnapping. They're proving the trafficking. They're proving that she's been coerced. They're just going back in and just proving everything they said. Hey, is my audio good, y'all? Is my audio good? Let me know in the chat. Is my audio good? Some people are saying this is just a DV case. I don't know, but you do see it that they're laying out their case. It seems to me, I hear what you're saying, but are you buying it though? The audio's good. Okay, cool. So are you buying it? I don't know, man. So I'm not really sure that they proved all of these cases because I don't I don't buy some of it. I think the feds are only doing, you know what I'm saying, their jobs, but some of this shit I just don't buy. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Part 3 of the prosecutor's closing arguments. The next racketeering predicate is S trafficking. Defendants' inner circle assisted, whether they wanted to or not, threats, substances, lies, and illegal violence to make them have S with escorts. This is not an attempt to criminalize dysfunctional relationships or personal sexual behavior. They did not want to have S with strangers while the defendant pleased himself. They were covered in oil and sore over and over again. We are not asking you to find that every hotel or freak off was as trafficking or even the majority. You only have to find the elements were met one time, one freak off. That's it. He's guilty, but it was way more than once. Let's start with Jane. Turn off the public screens. Consider the sobriety party and in Jane's house. Let's start with the love bombing stage. Jane was head over heels. They traveled to the Caribbean. Dr. Hughes talked about this. She never met with any witnesses, but it was like she knew them. Love bombing is a tactic. He was grooming her. Gave Jane X. She fell to the ground convulsing. The defendant liked baby oil and red lights. Then introduced in May of 2021, she wanted to please her partner. She was high. The defendant had a freak off set up the very night an escort came. Jane was excited by that first experience. She didn't realize she had opened Pandora's box. It became 90% of their relationship. For a while, she went along. Then she told him she wanted it to stop. There are text messages about it. Jane wrote, "I wanted to do things outside these rooms, to travel with you." The defendant ignored Jane's discomfort. These hotel nights were not about what Jane wanted. They were about what the defendant wanted to see. He decided how long. Jane said if she was going to have S with a strange man, she should choose which. Defendant made her ask them for nude photos. These were not for her. When she asked to use protection, the defendant was not happy. He was dismissive and condescending. He would try to have it go faster. He'd order her to slow down. It was about what he wanted. He dangled carrots. He gave her gifts and money. He lied to her repeatedly. She asked, "When are we going to get away?" He said they'd go on a yacht, but didn't. Here's what Jane wrote in her note.
Okay, so he promised her to go on a yacht. He didn't take her on a yacht, and he gave her a bunch of men. And so I'm still not. I hear what they're saying, man. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the chat, man. Are they proving that this was X trafficking by Jane? Is Jane proving that she was X trafficked with it? They're using her as an example. Do y'all feel like he X trafficked Jane? Let me know in the chat.
App. "I don't want to have you use me to fulfill your freaky wild desires in hotel rooms." He used his payment of her rent as leverage. The carrot turned into a stick. She wrote the threats and innuendo are non-stop. He paid for her veneers because he didn't like her teeth, then said, "Look at the roof over your head and your pretty mouth and teeth." He wanted the all-star party. S with 3 men. She sent him a photo of her period blood. He sent this voice note. They play the voice note. This is Diddy's voice. "I'm about to really disappear on you. I don't have no time for this, baby girl. You got me on my job. You got to get on your job." Message couldn't be clearer. Not going to take no for an answer. After reading Cassie's lawsuit, Jane writes to the defendant, "I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. 2 of my birthdays, you forced me. You gaslit me. It was sexual exploitation you framed as love for your sick fetishes." The defendant called her and tried to trick her into saying it was all consented to. He fed her a false narrative. Listen to this clip. He talked over her. Dr. Hughes told you how a victim is trauma bonded to her abuser. Jane often felt the defendant didn't listen to the truth. She said Sean would say just to move on. He told her to charge him, that lawyers would be involved to buy her silence. So she asked for $100K a year for her to move on. She thought it was reasonable, far less than Cassie. The defendant went ballistic. She refused to adapt a false narrative. You can read the text message. Jane wrote that the defendant was going to show her S tapes to the father of her child. Then he reached out and told her to come see him in Miami. She makes it clear she doesn't want a hotel night. He says okay. Despite his promise, he called an escort. Here are more threats about the rent. Jane writes, I hate worrying about the rent. This is in 2024. It all culminated in June 2024. He assaulted her and forced her to perform oral on an escort. This is trafficking. It was interstate and the Astroglide crossed state lines. The defendant knew or recklessly disregarded that force. Threats of force, coercion, or fraud were used. Consenting once doesn't mean she consented every time. One time is enough. In 2023, he made Jane feel she'd have a proper New York City weekend, but invited escorts. Jane sent him another message. It's dark and sleazy in fear of losing my home. His response, girl, stop. Then he FaceTimed her and told her about stopping and dinner. He lied, look, and then they pull up another text message. He's also texting Paul Arthur, an escort. Look at these messages. He is setting up a hotel night. When she is in air, he tells her he has a surprise for her. She did not want it. That, before the plane even lands, is a completed act of trafficking. He tricked her. Then under coercion, she calls Sly to come to New York. In the next text, she says, in New York City, I knew you would pair me up with a random person. In the sobriety party, without substances, she is so disgusted, she vomits. She writes, I'm not a pea star. I'm not an animal. I need a break. The defendant's response, let's spend the day, no strangers. She replies, you'll love bomb me. He switches from carrot to stick. The house. He texts, are you going to let me into our house? 8 times. Then he said he was sick and needed her. She went and had S with 3 different men without substances. After vomit, he said, get back out there. 2024 in Jane's house, 3 months after Homeland Security agents searched the defendant's homes. They used Jane's house. He came there. They were supposed to have a fun date night. They drank and argued. She pushed his head into the counter. He shouted at her. She told him to leave. She ran and closed doors. He kicked down 3 doors. You saw the doors. Here's one of them on the screen. He ran without shoes. She hid. He was waiting. Jane hit the defendant. He punched her in the face. Here are photos. He dragged her by the hair back into the house. Jane took this phone and called the other woman. She shouted. The defendant called Jonathan Perez. He followed her into the shower and hit her, knocked her down. He called Anton, the escort, and told her to have S with him. She put on makeup to hide her injuries. He drove to pick up Anton at the gate. Then the defendant said, take this effing pill. He put his face inches from her and asked, is this coercion? He was brazenly acknowledging he was breaking the very same law he violated before. Jane didn't want to have S with the escort that night. She said no, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. Jane performed oral until Anton finished. The defendant told his security to bring cash to Anton. They didn't have it. The next day, he gave Jane the money to pay Anton. She Ubered the bag of money over to him. This was coercion. They just stopped for a lunch break, so I will be back whenever they come back, and I will update you guys with the closing argument.
Man. This Diddy case got to be a movie one day. This has got to become a movie. I promise. It probably will.
Part 4 of the prosecutor's closing arguments. Let's go back. The 3 nights were part of a buildup from fraud to coercion to finally force. The house was just an example of defendant's financial coercion of Jane. Also, substances, they became a necessary part of sex. Jane told you about Miami in 2024. He gave her liquid Molly. They showed you video. They'll argue that she was super into it, but she was super high. His coercion included threats to release tapes of her having S in the hotel room. Combs threatened to send S tapes to Jane's child's father. This was to coerce her into more commercial S acts. The defense has suggested that Jane agreed to these hotel nights. Let's talk about what agreeing means. Theirs is an incomplete picture. Let's turn to volume 2. We're going to talk about Cassie with several examples. You know from sitting through this trial that force was not limited to these days. Through the decade they were together, he forced her to have S with escorts. Cassie was 19. He was in his late 30s. He signed her at 10 record deal. He took her on a yacht and gave her X. They had S. They were in a relationship. She had just turned 21. The defendant was her boss. He called all the shots. He molded her. He told Capricorn, let me show you. Then ordered Cassie around. She did it. Walk-in turn around. Total compliance. He didn't take no for an answer. He was abusive. Physical, emotional, psychological, sexual. They want you to call this domestic violence, but he was forcing her to have freak-offs. He controlled everything. He demanded her nails be done a certain way on red carpets. The Vanity Fair party in 2014. Deontay Nash told you. He shouted. I thought I told y'all she had to have her hair up. He wouldn't let her make money from her music. She was offered the chance to do a common video. Puff said no. He paid for her car, clothing, phones, and vacation. He made her dependent. He did it to her family too. After he found out she was with Kid Cudi, he demanded $20K from her parents to pay him back, or he'd release S-tapes. That month, in just that account, he had $3.2 million coming in and out. This was about control. Remember what Dr. Hughes said, when a victim is on unsure footing, the abuser has control. He punched her, kicked her, dragged her. When it was bad, he hid her in hotels to heal and not be seen. You saw photos and video. D-Rock, Rube, Polly, they knew. He attacked her for attending a Prince party until Prince's security intervened. Mia and Myra Morales described abuse to you. Cassie told you when she got to the house, he threatened to release S-tapes. He assaulted her in Jamaica. He beat her up in Las Vegas while she curled up under the toilet. She said D-Rock cried. There was his assault at the Intercontinental Hotel, caught on tape. For Cassie, it was her normal. She was there when he attacked Mia, Deontay Nash, and Banna. Banna may have gotten the date wrong, but she had injuries. One time, he had Cassie hold pew-pews for him. The diner and Suge Knight incident, Cassie was in the house. She saw. Why didn't she leave? Miss Hughes explained that hitting leads to fear. Even when Cassie was in South Africa, she could not get away. KK kept calling. D-Rock was loyal only to the defendant. He played both sides. He talked to Cassie, then reported it back to the defendant. She about to ice up. I told her to chill out. They met for dinner in Malibu, and then he R-worded her on the living room floor. She said no. She cried, but he didn't take no for an answer. He R-worded her. He wrote, I could tell I didn't turn you on yesterday. That is, he R-worded her. Because of the trauma bond after the R-word, she met him at a friend's party, then had sex. Consensual. This was a trauma bond. He had an MO, an hours-long performance. He pleased himself and sometimes filmed, just like with Jane. Sometimes the defendant told the escort to urinate on her. Sometimes he did it himself. Why? To turn himself on. She began substances, got addicted. Here she wrote, I love our FOs when we both want it. Jurors, this is not an all or nothing situation. There were times he knew she didn't want to do it. That is S-trafficking. She obviously didn't want to have an escort urinate in her mouth while she lay on the floor. Let's talk about the videos. You've seen clips. You don't see weapons. You see her pleasing herself. The defendant is moving the camera around, at times focuses on the escort, not Cassie at all. It's clear this was about his fantasy, not Cassie's. March 5th, 2016, in the Intercontinental Hotel. The video. Before the Intercontinental Hotel, Cassie had a premiere. It was a big night for her. She agreed to freak off as damage control. Look at this. She says, I don't want you thinking I don't want to. She knows the defendant won't take no for an answer. Defendant gets Jules to come. You know what happens. An argument. The defendant hits Cassie in the face. All she can think about is her premiere. She takes off without her shoes. He throws her to the ground. He kicks her, then drags her back to the room where Jules is waiting. Why is the dragging relevant? Because Jules is there. Freak-offs have multiple sessions. They were between sessions. He leaves her, but he takes her bags, but she doesn't follow him. Instead, Cassie is used.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Some of this shit, but they defense, man, y'all closing arguments better be good. Boy, they making it. They really drew this up to sound, boy, they fucking you up, Diddy. I ain't gonna lie. Just listening to this, just like, damn, whew, sheesh. Well, shit. Well, shit.
The phone in the elevator lobby. The defendant is making another conscious decision to take the bags into the room, then came back for Cassie with his hands free. He grabs her phone, then makes the decision to stay. He stays even though he's in a towel and looks ridiculous. After Flores arrives, he stalls in the hall. He knows Jules is still in the room, possibly naked. The defense claims he took back substances that day, but you can see he is in control. Cassie just wanted to get her bag and phone and leave. The defendant offered Flores money. This is a photo of Jane in the car back to her house with sunglasses, her black eye. He was using force to get Cassie to continue with the freak off. Defense may tell you the violence was not connected to the, but it was an attempt to get Cassie to continue with the freak off. Later, she wrote to him, "I'm not a rag doll, I'm someone's child." I will continue the closing argument in the next part.
Man. What y'all thinking right now? I see the numbers are kind of changing on the poll. It's 51% now they say Diddy is coming home, and 49% say he's staying in jail. 49% say he's staying in jail. 51% of the chat is saying Diddy coming home. It was like 58%.
Continue.
It's coming down. Let's go.
Bring with part 5. There were freak-offs in New York with Daniel Phillip. Daniel Phillip was not paid for his time. This is a ridiculous argument. In one freak-off between sessions, the defendant told Cassie to come into the bedroom. She kept using the computer. The defendant threw a bottle, dragged her, then slapped her. Daniel Phillip heard Combs yell, "B word, when I tell you to come here, you come here." After that, Daniel Phillip could not perform, but a completed act is not required for trafficking. This is trafficking. They were at the film festival. The defendant accused Cassie of stealing his substances. He threw her off the boat they were staying on. Mia heard an audio of this, recognized the voices. They flew back to New York. She traded seats to get away, but he followed and showed her freak-off videos. He threatened to release the S-tape. When they got to New York, they had a freak-off. This is another example of clear-cut coercion. He threw her off a boat without her passport.
Salute to Binky. Binky says, salute Ratchet Mars and Ratchet's RG4L. Salute to Binky for the 5-piece. I appreciate you. We got 70 on the screen. We 30 away from a honey bun. Let's go.
He wanted Cassie to be afraid to say no to him. Cassie said, "I didn't know what no would mean, what no would turn into. He would be violent." The defense said Cassie made a choice every day to stay with him. Step back. Imagine yourself as Cassie. This was the force. This was the leverage. There were the substances, disassociative and numbing. She needed that buffer. Yes, some of the messages are explicit. That doesn't mean she wanted to have with escorts at a freak off. In 2009, he wrote, "You're supposed to be seducing me all day." Cassie told the defendant she didn't want to do freak offs. Take her birthday party Deontay told you about. He demanded she freak off, and she did. What choice did Cassie have in the end? She did not have the freedom to make voluntary adult choices. Let's go back to count 1 for a minute. While it was the defendant in the freak-offs, he had help from KK, D-Rock, Fahim. They knew it was wrong. How did they facilitate? KK got strange men access to rooms the defendant and Cassie shared. KK got Clayton Howard, aka Dave, access to the room. Jonathan Perez found the video of Cassie having S with an escort. He showed it to KK. She knew. Fahim saw it too. Fahim got substances to the defendant even during the freak-offs between sessions. On February 18th, 2024, after Jane told KK still sent stuff for Wild King nights. D-Rock iced Cassie's black eyes. It would be absurd to think D-Rock didn't know what they were doing. Of course he knew. I expect the defense will say they didn't know. David James saw a stranger. Deontay Nash saw one. Jonathan Perez saw video of Jane having S with another man while the defendant watched. Interstate travel for prostitution. The defendant paid escorts. He caused the travel. He sometimes booked it. The transportation counts do not require force, fraud, or coercion. Even if all consented, we know that's not true. It's still a crime. It's just knowing transportation with the intent the individual engaged in prostitution. For count 3, freak-offs involving Cassie. The escorts' travel was often booked by travel agents. She remembered Dave, aka Clayton Howard. He would travel from New York to Miami or LA. Another escort traveled to Ibiza. This was Jules' Theater at the London Hotel in New York City. The defendant asked for Jules' name for the ticket. The defendant's Amex show he paid for the car. There's the $2,000 bill from the London Hotel. The defendant texted, "I will tip you." For what? Sad. For this incident alone, the defendant is guilty under count 3. But there's more. More Jules at the London Hotel starting at 7 a.m. Consider this. Paul going to Turks. The defendant says, "How should I pay?" He paid for Paul's travel to Turks for here. Reggie flew from Las Vegas to LA. Fourth, he is never tired. Jane sent $1,100 via Cash App. Here is a hotel folio, $4,000 of damage. The hotel staff found bodily fluids on the floor. It couldn't be clearer. Every time KK helped arrange travel for Wild King nights, she was part of the crime. She may not have liked it, but she did it. KK set up travel for a Wild King night in Vegas. KK knows. KK helps Sly book his travel. Combs asks her for cash. She knows exactly what's going on. She facilitated travel for the escorts. Each is a racketeering act. You only need to find 2 acts. Just here, there are dozens. This is where they paused for a break, and I'm hoping that after the break, they will wrap it up, and I will give you guys the final update.
What y'all thinking, man? Is Diddy cooked right now, or is Diddy coming home, man? They presenting the fuck out that case. I can't even lie. They presenting the hell out of it.
Part 6 and the final part of the prosecutor's closing arguments. You heard of forced labor of 4 women, Cassie and Jane and Mia and Capricorn. Cassie and Jane, it was grueling sexual services. Cassie called them grueling up to 4 days, maybe even more. Jane said the same thing. Cassie and Jane were on call to perform freak-offs for the defendant whenever he wanted, wherever he wanted. He used force or threats of force. He would say, let's finish on a high note. Let's push through. You're not tired, are you? It took weeks to recover for these freak-offs. That's forced labor. KK kept setting up hotel rooms and flights. Let's turn to Mia. She worked for Combs. She went 5 days without sleep. Combs sexually assaulted her. He put his hands up her dress. He came into her bedroom and penetrated her. He came into the closet and forced her to perform oral. There was a time in the bathroom of a private jet she can't fully remember. Repeated traumatic events. She was clear as a bell even under cross-examination. She performed labor and services, including sexual services. He threw her against the wall and slammed the door on her arm. She saw violence at Prince's party and in Turks. When they were in South Africa, KK told Mia, if you don't call him in 10 minutes, you don't have a job. He has her all the power and control. She knew she couldn't say no, even to little things. Mia knew that her job was to protect the defendant. HR was for Combs. She couldn't go to the police due to Combs' power. The threats left her with no options. I expect you're going to hear that she could have left, that she told Combs she loved him. Mia pulled no punches. There were high highs and low lows. Capricorn Clark had an issue with overtime. She took the issue to the head of HR, Vashta Wilson, but HR was the defendant's puppet. The defendant and Uncle Polly threatened her in Central Park and the lie detector, and taken to Kid Cudi's. Capricorn had a son to provide for. Combs threatened to blacklist her. Now, witness tampering and obstruction after Cassie filed her lawsuit. This weaves the whole story together. Jane wrote, you gaslit me. She posed a problem for the defendant. So, Combs called Jane. The calls were recorded on KK's phone. You can listen to them. On November 19th, 2023, Cassie's lawsuit was already settled, but he is afraid of a criminal investigation. He calls and asks, what can I do to make you feel better? He says, I can't be speaking on the phone. He is worried the U.S. will get 3 years of his text messages with Jane. While he's recording the call, he tries to convince her she was willing. He says, we just did some kinky-ish. I thought we both enjoyed. Do you hear on the recorded call the sound of notes being taken with a Sharpie to plan how to get what they want Jane to say? You've seen that in this trial, the lawyers passing notes to each other. Then, Combs had D-Rock reach out to Mia, asking her to say something. Mia told you her reaction to this call. She had seen the defendant bashed in Cassie's head. D-Rock had seen it too. He was asking her to agree with a lie. As the federal investigation grew, they kept reaching out to Mia. D-Rock calls her 5 times in a row. The chart Ms. Sankar presented to you brings this together. The defendant's conduct towards Mia is also obstruction and witness tampering. Also obstruction, the video of the intercontinental assault. It's bribery, but also obstruction. For years, Combs had gone to great lengths to hide his crimes, but when the truth started spilling out, he didn't turn inward in reflection. He turned to his inner circle, desperate to silence the people who could bring him down. Listen to the call. In 2023, Combs told a tearful Jane, I just needed to tell you that I needed your friendship. It wasn't a show of concern. It was manipulation. She had just read Cassie's lawsuit. She saw the mirror of her own trauma, and he knew it. You spent 7 weeks listening. A lot of the evidence was hard to hear or see. You heard from Kid Cudi, whose house was broken into and whose car was burned. You heard from Regina Ventura, Deontay Nash, how he ran the enterprise with total control. It's time to hold him accountable. It's time to find him guilty. And that was it with the prosecutor's closing arguments. Of course, we still have to hear from Diddy's attorney, which will happen tomorrow.
Man. So Diddy is about to rest his case. Then they're going to give the jury instructions on what to do next. And then it's time to deliberate. This is it, y'all. We are at the end of the road when it comes to the P. Diddy case. This is it. We are at the end of the road. Diddy is, I believe they won't even last a full day. I think they might take them an hour or two to wrap their case up and just be like, you know what, fam, this is what we going with. So I don't really know that they're, like I said, they don't want to overdo it. They've already proved their point, and their point is to discredit everything that the feds alluded to. That's it. Just go back in and refresh everybody's memory of everybody wanted to do this. These were consenting adults consenting to everything that was going on. And that's going to be their standpoint. They're just going to pretty much leave it at that. And hey, it's going to rest in the jury's hands at that point. So I asked y'all a question in the chat. I said, what will the verdict be? We still only got 849 votes on that poll. I need everybody in this building to double tap their screens. First off, double tap your screen and like the video. Then vote on that poll down there. We should be way past 500 likes. Can we get it to 500 likes in here? And what will the verdict be? It's 50-50 right now, y'all. 50% of the people say Diddy is coming home. 50% of the people are saying he's staying in jail. It's over. So, like I said, this might end in a hung jury. And I'm thinking 9 times out of 10, this most likely ends in a hung jury. I don't think that nothing anybody can do to convince anybody of what they already feel like is going on. That's just how I feel, and I'm going to stick to my thoughts on that. I just feel like if you think Diddy guilty, then you're not going to change your mind. If you think Diddy is not guilty, you're not going to change your mind. So let's keep it a buck.
It was his kingdom, and everyone was there to serve him. The prosecutor in the Diddy trial did not hold back, laying out why the government believes that he should possibly spend the rest of his life behind bars. Standing directly in front of the jury, Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic had a PowerPoint presentation helping the jury understand how all the pieces that the government had been laying out for the last 2 months all fit together, starting with the most serious charge, RICO. Meanwhile, sitting behind her is Diddy with his chair pushed all the way back away from the defense table, and he is looking straight ahead with his hands in his lap. I'm talking unusually still. Throughout this trial, I've reported that he has been an active participant of his own defense. He's usually looking at the screen in front of him, writing sticky notes. He was doing none of that today. One of the first things that the prosecutor did was acknowledge to the jury that RICO is usually associated with the mafia or the mob. Though she acknowledged that this isn't the same thing, she broke down a similar chain of command, saying at the top of this chain was Diddy, the boss, and right under him, his loyal lieutenants, including Christina Courtroom, his chief of staff, and his security guards. Christina, the prosecutor explained, was his right brain. She lived with him and made around $600,000 a year. Them, she said, were the foot soldiers, or the army of employees, the assistants. Then the prosecutor explained that RICO actually has a lower threshold than the jury might think, emphasizing that multiple predicate acts don't need to be proven, just 2. And the 2 can be as simple as his assistants getting drugs for Diddy twice. And that's a predicate act that the prosecution decided to start with, drug distribution, explaining that drugs were a, quote, essential ingredient to every freak-off. Keep both Cassie and Jane awake and compliant for days during these freak-offs. Went on to say, we are not talking about marijuana, we are talking about hard drugs, then started naming them: coke, molly, K, GHB, Xanax, oxy, mushroom, and 2C. He pushed back on the defense's claims that these drugs were for personal use, saying that quantity doesn't matter, adding that giving drugs to someone else is distribution, period. The prosecutor then explained that they've shown hundreds of acts of drug distribution alone. I didn't stop them from going through the other predicate acts. Then dedicated an hour to breaking down count 4, which is the sex trafficking of Jane. All while she's doing this, also present in the court are Diddy's 3 teenage daughters. They have been missing from the courtroom since week 1, but they were there hearing everything that they missed, including explicit text messages. Now, I couldn't get a read on their expression, but I did notice that Chance was sitting in between the twins, and on the left side of them was Mama Combs. Chance looked to be the one that was paying the most attention. She was leaning forward and resting her face on her hands. She was looking at the court artist or straight ahead at the prosecutor. All 3 girls were writing and passing notes back and forth. Heading back into court, but I will have more updates later when it's less windy.
Man. Let me turn this down. She was talking low. All right. So if we listening to that right there, I don't know. Like I said, either you just gonna feel how you feel or you gonna feel how you feel. Either way, I don't really see much nobody could do at this point besides just feel how you feel. Is Diddy coming home? Is he guilty of these RICO acts? Or is Diddy, is he gonna stay in jail for a short term, long term, or the rest of his life? He's facing life in jail with the crimes that they're alleging that he committed. And if he's found guilty, he can do if he's found guilty on all charges, he can do up to life in prison for these charges. So this is a serious matter, and his life is in the palm of the jury's hands now. So he's going to his team is about to rest their case real soon, and we about to see the end and the result of this Diddy case, y'all. A lot of us never thought we'd get here, but we are at the end of the Diddy case. This is it.
U.S. versus Sean Combs, day 30. We are on closing arguments. Now, this video is not going to be super detailed because we have to get back in the courtroom right on time. I mean, no one's even allowed to go to the bathroom during closing arguments, so I just want to make sure I'm not late so I get back in. But I'll give you just a couple details so far. It's been a pretty busy day. You know, in the gallery, there's some notable attorneys. Karen Agnifilo is there. She represents Luigi Mangione. She's married to Mark. Doug Wigter is there, who represents Cassie Ventura. And Diddy's daughters are back. They're very sweet looking. I saw one of them in the bathroom, and I didn't lock the door to the bathroom stall, and she opened it. I felt really bad for her. I wasn't peeing. I was just adjusting myself. But yeah, she's really sweet. And Misa Hilton is here, who I believe is Justin's mother. And I think another one of his children's mother is here as well, possibly Sarah Chapman. But yes, so the judge greeted the jury, thanked them, for listening to 7 weeks of testimony, and just said, yes, so we'll have a shorter day today. The government's going to give their closing arguments, and then tomorrow the defense is going to go, and then the government will present a very short rebuttal after that, and then they'll get their jury charges, which, by the way, I had stated, it's 118 pages of charges, or roughly, and they both the government and the defense had 200 objections that they had to go through during the charge conference yesterday, which took a long time. But okay, so really quickly, just a couple things, and I'm gonna go over the entire closing in detail later, so don't worry. But the first thing that Slavic said was, okay, over the last several weeks, you have learned a lot about Sean Combs. He is the leader of a criminal enterprise who doesn't take no for an answer. And then she went on to say, the brutal crimes at the heart of this case is sex trafficking. And then we saw a still of Cassie. And the still of Cassie was obviously the Intercontinental Hotel video. And it was like they paused it or freeze framed it right on a part where Diddy was dragging her on the ground by her hood or her hair. It was just, it was up there for a while too. Then we saw a transcript of Jane saying that he grabbed her by the hair. And then at the same time, Slav is saying he used violence, coercion, and manipulation to get these women, and then counted on silence and shame. And then went on to say he had a small army of personal staff protecting him at all costs. And then she went on to explain why the evidence connects Sean Combs to being guilty, went through all of the charges, and then really, she went through, this is the racketeering charge. These are the 2 counts of sex trafficking, and these are the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. And what she did was she went through all the elements of those, and then specifically for the RICO charge, she listed the acts. So we heard drug distribution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, sex trafficking, interstate commerce, and then forced labor and witness tampering. So she went through all of those, and then she really explained to the jury certain things like, hey, you only need to find him guilty on 2 predicate acts for the RICO charge to be a guilty vote. And then when she went to sex trafficking, she said, it doesn't matter if Jane and Cassie agreed to do these hotel nights or freak off 45 out of 46 times. She didn't say those numbers, 45 or 46. I'm saying that. She said all it takes is one instance of force, fraud, or coercion to make him guilty of sex trafficking. So again, I don't want to be too late in the courtroom, so I'm not going to give you too much more. Oh, one thing I thought was interesting, she made a comment about products affecting interstate commerce, and she actually mentioned baby oil. So it seemed like they were turning baby oil into a crime, saying baby oil is distributed out of New Jersey or New York or something like that. I have to cross-check this. And he would transport that across state lines. affecting interstate commerce. So I was like, oh wow, so they really are really hyper focused on this baby oil. But anyway, I'll have more details later. So watch my video later, which will be much longer.
So what y'all thinking, man? Chat, let me know, what are y'all thinking? What are your thoughts? Is this gonna be a hung jury? Is this gonna come down to he's guilty, is he innocent? What is going on,
Like
man?
I said, we are down to the nitty gritty, and today is closing arguments. They said that all of Sean's family members are there. They took their seats in the second row, that there's a nervous energy in the room, and that Sean just put his hand over his heart and gave his family a nod. We're starting with the prosecution's closing arguments, so I'll give you that summary. After the lunch break, I'll do the defense's summary closing arguments. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christie started with Sean used his business empire as a criminal enterprise for sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. She addressed the jury by painting Sean as the leader of the criminal enterprise, one who engaged in bribery, attempted arson, to name some of his alleged crimes. At the core of the enterprise was sex trafficking. She told the jury that Sean manipulated both Cassie and Jane through power, violence, and fear, and he doesn't take no for an answer. Sean had exhibited shockingly similar violent behavior for years. The prosecutor brought up the 2016 beating of Cassie at the Intercontinental Hotel and the 2024 choking and slapping of Jane, bringing up that Sean leaned heavily on those closest to him to loyally carry out all of his orders. I'm talking about the defendant and his trusted inner circle. He was the head, and it existed to serve his needs.
Man. Look, it looks like 51% of the room feels like he's staying in jail now. Now 49% say he's coming home. So it's starting to look like more people are saying Diddy is not coming home. Y'all better vote on that poll in the chat, man. Vote on that poll in the chat. We almost got 1,000 votes on that poll. Let's go.
Sean was powerful in his own right, but through his support of his business became even more dangerous, highlighting the concept of a criminal enterprise, a group of people together to protect Sean's power, reputation, and to help fulfill all his desires. Young and eager staffers hungry to break into the world of music were always at Sean's beck and call. These young assistants didn't blink an eye and did whatever it took to make Sean happy. Employees were paid by Sean's companies, then turning work resources into fuel for his crimes. She told the jury to use common sense against the defense's claim that a criminal enterprise didn't exist. When a person agrees to their boss' demand to buy rugs, they are agreeing to a crime. When a person locks their boss's girlfriend in a room after he stomped on her face, that person is agreeing to commit a crime. And that is agreeing to participate in an enterprise. She urged jurors to pay attention to a map when they look back at Sean's alleged crimes. When SMEX workers were paid to cross state lines or cell phones were used, those acts amounted to violations of interstate commerce law. And that quantity doesn't matter when defining rug distribution. When Sean's staff moved a single pill or 1,000 at his order, those actions are criminal. When he gave rugs to Cassie and Jane, this is rug distribution, plain and simple. They then break down the 4 elements of racketeering. First is conspiracy to participate in a criminal enterprise, which she insists Sean's employees did by agreeing to help him commit crimes. Second and third elements are the impact on state and foreign commerce, and that Sean was knowingly part of an enterprise. Sean arranged for SMEX workers and rugs to travel across state lines and through the line of his business. The fourth element is that the enterprise agreed to commit at least 2 crimes under the RICO Act. Crimes related to rugs, sex trafficking, bribery, and arson, as they helped cover up these alleged crimes. Rugs were an essential part of freak-offs, so he and his staff were involved in buying and distributing. The defendant restricted the movement of others at least 3 times, which were all examples of kidnapping. After beating Cassie in 2009, he forced her to stay in the hotel room until her wounds were healed. Capricorn Clark, who was forced to go to Kid Cudi's. Prosecutors said Sean was 100% behind the arson of Kid Cudi's car. The arson was designed to show that no one who crosses Sean gets away with it. The hotel beating cover-up was the example of bribery, as Sean allegedly paid the security guards to get that video. Sean and his inner circle refused to take no for an answer. His employees would stop at nothing to keep the video from getting to law enforcement. She's now breaking down the elements of sex trafficking, that Sean used force, fraud, and coercion to get the women to sleep with sex workers in his fueled freak-offs. Prosecutor noted that coercion is more complicated. It can mean that the victim believes refusal would subject her to physical, psychological, or financial harm. Prosecution then shows 27 headshots of men that were hired for SMEX for freak-offs. Prosecutors said that Sean groomed Jane for his sexual desires. Prosecutors reminded jurors that Sean allegedly threatened Jane with SMEX videos if she didn't stay in line, and how he frequently arranged for transportation for freak-offs. During all of this, they said that Sean looks defeated, that he's sitting back, head down, hands in his lap, and occasionally looks up at jurors. They reminded the jury that Jane wanted to stop doing freak-offs, but he coerced her to continue. They brought up the fact that after the raids on his home, he was still violent, and how he had beat Jane in June 8th of 2024. At this point, they break for lunch. You know I'll be back in the afternoon with the rest of today's recap.
So what y'all thinking, man? Did they get Diddy with these closing arguments? Because it's kind of bad, bro. I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of bad. It's looking fucked up for him out here, man. It's looking real bad for Diddy, man. We need 15 people to double tap that screen, get us to 500 likes, man. Come on, let's like the video. Double tap your screen. That's all you gotta do. A lot of people wanting to be famous, they were. Look at everyone who has passed away in his circle alone. Get out. It's a great live coverage. Thanks. Salute. Say, Paul, if Diddy goes free, he will get baby oil wasted as loose. Look, I don't know what he gonna do if he get loose. Yeah, shit, they let the diddler out of jail, man. I don't know, man. The street's not safe if Diddy get out, man. Some people better go in hiding if Diddy come home. I ain't gonna lie.
Diddy trial, day 31. Today are the closing arguments from prosecutors. So let's start. Judge, we emailed the charge to the parties. They're not in the docket yet, by the way. But there are still some time the government is capitalized. We'll charge that, and in the instruction about the witnesses, there should be no disruptions during closing. I will tell the jurors that it will be a shorter day today, longer tomorrow, and then during deliberations, it will be up to them. AUSA, Ms. Slavic will be here at 10 to deliver the closing. Combs Alexandra Shapiro. There are some italics we want out. Okay, it's 10:02. Judge, while we wait, Ms. Comey, do we have the laptop ready? AUSA, I'll defer to Ms. Garagos. Garagos, we'll have it ready for tomorrow. Judge, with only the admitted exhibits, I'll ask tomorrow. Judge, let's get our jury. All rise. Judge, give your attention to the parties' closing arguments. Today will be shorter, the U.S. closings. Tomorrow, the defense, the rebuttal, my instructions, and begin deliberations with jurors who will stay. AUSA Slavic. Over the last few weeks, you've learned that Sean Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's into kidnapping, arson, forced labor, bribery of the security officer, and brutal crimes of trafficking.
So you see, they said he bribed the police officer. Now, the bribing that we all know that was going to cook him was the one with Cassie. But like I told y'all, that was before the RICO. So they're talking about the bribery from the police officer, not bribing Cassie's mom. Does that change your thoughts or still the same? Let me know in the chat.
Consider two moments. March 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel. The defendant got violent with Cassie. You saw what happened. He dragged her back to the freak-off. 2024 at Jane's house. The defendant choked and hit her. She ran, couldn't get away. These are chapters in the same book. The defendant counted on silence and shame. He thought that his fame and wealth and power put him above the law. Over the last 7 weeks, you've heard how he used his staff to promote his power. No one could stop him. We'll talk about RICO, including sex trafficking and transportation for prostitution, while are also separately charged as standalone crimes. You may have heard racketeers. When someone commits crime as part of a group, they are more dangerous. a group of people whose purpose was to serve and protect the defendant. It's his kingdom. Everyone was there to serve him, fulfilling all of his desires, including his sexual desires. We need to show at least 2 racketeering crimes. The defendant was head of Combs Enterprise. There was an inner circle, his chief of staff and his bodyguards. The names changed, but the roles remained the same. You've heard about KK, Combs' right brain. She lived in 2-Star. She communicated with the defendant's girlfriends, his security. You heard their names: D-Rock, Bonds, Rube, Uncle Paulie, Fahim. They were armed and ready. Remember the incident at the diner with Suge Knight? David James told you. Combs had guns. In the search, law enforcement found guns, including a rifle with a serial number defaced, LA2 AR-15s, with their serial numbers cut out. In the defendant's closet, you also have a rotating cast of assistants paid by the defendant's business. Slavic, Brendan Paul, he made $100,000 a year. KK made 6 times that. When your boss asks you to buy rugs, you're committing a crime. When you kidnap someone or locked his girlfriend in a hotel room after your boss stomped on her face, it's a crime. The law does not require us to know that they liked committing these crimes. You saw KK chiding the defendant to not be so reckless, but she got him cash, rugs. She was a member of the enterprise. It impacted interstate commerce. Minimal is fine. Combs knowingly became a member. He was the boss. He was the through line. The racketeering acts, distribution of rugs, kidnapping, arson, bribery, facilitating S-crimes, S-trafficking of Cassie and Jane, forced labor, travel for a commercial X, cover-up. You need only to find that someone would commit 2 acts in any of these categories. It could be 2 acts of rug distribution, 1 kidnapping, just 2. You have far more than 2. Let's start with the rugs, an essential ingredient of F-offs.
Man. They doing everything in they minds right now. They doing everything they can to get Diddy convicted of this. They really went for it. They going for the gusto with P. Diddy. I ain't gonna even
Diddy
lie.
trial closing arguments begin with the prosecutors starting their arguments against Diddy. This is part 1 of the closing arguments by the prosecution, and it is getting good, so let's get into it. Over the last few weeks, you have learned that Sean Combs is the leader of a criminal organization. He doesn't take no for an answer. He's into kidnapping, arson, forced labor, bribery of a security officer, and brutal crimes of trafficking. Important to note, like I said yesterday, they're still charging Diddy for kidnapping and arson. They only took away the attempted charges of both that fall under the RICO. Consider these 2 moments. March 2016 at the Intercontinental Hotel. The defendant got violent with Cassie. You saw what happened. He dragged her back to the freak-off. In 2024, at James' house, the defendant choked and hit her. She ran and couldn't get away. These are chapters in the same book. The defendant counted on silence and shame. He thought that his fame and wealth and power put him above the law. Over the last 7 weeks, you have heard how he used his staff to promote his power. No one could stop him.
Do you think Diddy is a drug dealer? I don't see the drug charge. I'm sorry, I just don't. I see a bunch of people like hippie and swinging, and they're hippie swingers, and they just like to, indulge in a different lifestyle than we all are used to. But I just think that these are a bunch of people who just like having sex and doing drugs. I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but the impression that I got, I don't think that arson is going to stick with this. You're talking about attempted arson now. Now it's attempted. So I don't think he kidnapped anybody. I don't think you proved that he kidnapped anybody. Now, you maybe forced labor. And if you want to say maybe possibly transportation to, engage in process, woo. So those are probably 2 charges but hey, if they prove those 2, it's over. RICO, right? So I don't know. What do y'all think? If Diddy is charged on 1 charge, 2 charges, or what do you think Diddy's gonna get charged with for sure? If you think he's gonna get charged with nothing, just say nothing. But what do you think in the chat? What is Diddy possibly gonna get charged with, if anything? Let me know in the chat.
Talk about RICO, including the trafficking and transportation for prostitution, which are separately charged as standalone crimes. You may have heard of racketeers. When someone commits a crime as a part of a group, they are more dangerous. A group of people whose purpose was to serve and protect the defendant. It's his kingdom. Everyone was there to serve him, fulfilling all his desires, including his physical desires. We need to show at least 2 racketeering crimes. The defendant was head of the Combs enterprise. There was an inner circle, his chief of staff and his bodyguards. The names changed, but the roles remained the same. You've heard about Christina Courtroom, Combs' right brain. She lived in Two-Star Island. She communicated with Sean Combs' girlfriends, his security. You heard their names: D-Rock, Roger Bonds, Ruben, Uncle Polly, and Fahim. They were armed and ready. Remember the incident at the diner with Suge Knight? David James told you that Mr. Combs had weapons. In the search, law enforcement found weapons, including a rifle with the serial numbers defaced in LA, 2 AR-15s with their serial numbers cut out in the defendant's closet. You also have the rotating cast of assistants paid by the defendant's business. Diddy's assistant, Brendan Paul, said he made $100,000 a year. Christina Courtroom made 6 times that. When your boss asks you to buy illegal substances, you're committing a crime. When you kidnap someone or lock his girlfriend in a hotel room after your boss stomped on her face, that's a crime. The law doesn't require us to know that they liked committing these crimes. You saw KK childing the defendant to not be so reckless, but she got him cash, illegal substances. She was a member of the enterprise, and it impacted interstate commerce. Minimal is fine. Sean Combs knowingly became a member. He was the boss. The racketeering acts: distribution of illegal substances, kidnapping, arson, bribery, facilitating trafficking of Cassie and Jane, forced labor, travel for commercial physical acts. It was a cover-up. You only need to find that someone would commit 2 acts in any of these categories. It could be 2 acts of illegal distribution, 1 of kidnapping, just 2. You have far more than 2. Let's start out with illegal substances, an essential ingredient to the freak-offs. Most people involved in this were D-Rock, Christina Courtroom, and Fahim, but others helped to keep the supply high. We're not talking about green, but what Brendan Paul called hard illegal substances. There are stipulations of the illegal substances found during the searches. There's snow, meth, oxy, K, a dissociative drug, GHB, mushrooms, Molly, 2C, a combination that's dyed pink. The quantities are not relevant. It's not an element of this crime. Distribution does not require a sale. You know the names of the substance dealers by now. Guido, One Stop, Baby Girl. Jane told you that on 2 occasions she was told to bring illegal substances when she flew to meet with Diddy. And it was coordinated with Christina Courtroom. It was corroborated by text messages. Christina Courtroom told Jane to swing by Mapleton to pick up the Guido package. He was called during the hotel nights, so we know what Guido's package was. More e-pills. The security team knew what it was. Guido texted Fahim, "Puff has a $450 balance with me." Brendan Paul asked for $780 for personal Gucci items. That is hard substances. The substances were distributed. It doesn't matter. He wasn't buying kilos or selling them. Personal use is just a distraction. They bought and distributed to people around him. Cassie used illegal substances at every freak-off supplied by Diddy. He introduced Jane to the substances. He gave them to her at all but 1 hotel night. He gave substances to Carrie Morgan and Banna Bongolan. He made Brendan Paul try 2C to see if it was good. D-Rock would text One Stop, "I need to see someone for bro." That is Sean Combs. Guido asked Fahim to cover his debt. Christina Courtroom knew that he was distributing illegal substances to the woman for the Wild King nights. Jane told KK that she was having a bad come down. KK gave her pro tips on how to deal with it. Plain and simple, this is distribution. And then they get into the kidnapping that you're gonna have to see in part 2, but y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
So, like when you're going by definitions, and this is me being realistic and not biased at all, when we're just going off definitions, they got Diddy by the balls. No bullshit. I mean, they really got him. Even if the case is weak, if you're just going by the definition of the law, they definitely got what they're looking for. they got exactly what they're looking for. If we're just going by law and definitions of the law, I know it's kind of crazy that the drug mule got to walk free. Everybody who aided and abetted got to walk free. Everyone who participated got to walk free. And they want it to be a criminal enterprise, but at the same time, you don't want to charge anyone in the criminal enterprise. You just want Diddy. Now, that's kind of weird. Now, that's the only, I'm like, why didn't y'all, so y'all did not want to charge KK? Y'all didn't want to charge D-Rock? Y'all didn't want to charge One Stop? That's the drug dealer. Y'all just don't care about the drugs? I mean, you want to charge him for the drugs, but not how he got them? And this dude was a part of the enterprise too, because he was getting paid by Bad Boy staff, and he was, you know what I'm saying, definitely around Bad Boy. So it wouldn't the drug dealer go down in the RICO as well? Wouldn't the drug mule go down in the RICO as well? No, you just wanted his testimony to take him down. So, okay, take the drug mule out. Well, what about all the drug dealers and all the people who were passing out the drugs? Wouldn't that make KK a drug distributor too? Doesn't that mean KK was out here distributing the pills and the potions? Come on, man. What are we talking about? See, I'm going to speak facts. Everybody not going to speak facts, but I'm speaking facts. Let's continue.
The Diddy trial closing arguments by the prosecutors against Diddy has began, and this is part 2, and they are jumping right into the kidnapping and the arson of Kid Cudi's car, so let's get into it. How about the kidnappings? They committed them both under California and New York law. Consider Cassie. Roger Bonds made her stay put. The defendant called Cassie an S, and he stomped on her face. She was disfigured. Roger Bonds caught her and brought her back. The defendant made her go to the London hotel on Sunset, so no one saw her. She wanted to go home to her mom, but no. It's clear that Cassie did not consent to staying in the London hotel. David James testified that the defendant demanded to see his search history if he had posted that the defendant assaulted Cassie in the club. Then there's Capricorn Clark. They made her take a lie detector test for days in an empty building in Manhattan. This was in 2004. He accused her of holding expensive jewelry that went missing. Uncle Paulie took her to the future headquarters of Bad Boy. She was tested for 5 lies. The man administering the test told her if she failed, she'd end up in the East River. In Central Park, the defendant told her if anything happened, he'd have to off her. David James, remember this? He was tested too, to get the rat out of the team. In December of 2011, Ruben helped the defendant kidnap Capricorn Clark. It started on December 22nd of 2011. The defendant banged on Capricorn Clark's door with a weapon. He was out for revenge. He barked an order at Capricorn. Get dressed, we're going to off Kid Cudi. They drove to Kid Cudi's house. The defendant had the weapon in his lap. This is kidnapping. He moved her a substantial distance. The defendant said that he wouldn't let her go until she brought him Cassie, who he kicked when she arrived and she fell into a fetal position. Cassie, who was with Kid Cudi that morning, testified about this. The officer who responded to the 911 call said he saw a black Escalade registered to Bad Boy. Then on January 12th of 2012, the defendant had Kid Cudi's car set on fire. Arson. Someone cut a hole in the roof of Kid Cudi's car and dropped in a Molotov. I'm not suggesting that the defendant cut the hole. He didn't even buy his own soup. You heard the voice notes. He said he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car. What are the odds that he says it and it just happened? The coincidences just keep on coming. The defendant and Ruben just happened to be there a few weeks before. Kid Cudi was driving the same Porsche the night of the trespassing. What are the odds? Kid Cudi had conflict with no one except the defendant. Then D-Rock brought Kid Cudi to the defendant, who was looking like a Marvel supervillain. Years later, the defendant apologized to Kid Cudi. Then there's the bribery of the 2016 Intercontinental Hotel video. The defendant was having a freak-off with Cassie and one of the escorts, Jules. Flores found the defendant sitting in a chair with what he called a devilish stare. In the room, he saw another man. The defendant tried to hand Flores a stack of money. It was his first attempt at bribery that day. As Cassie leaves, Combs starts the damage control. He called Cassie over a dozen times and then he texts, "Call me, the cops are here." He was just manipulating her, but the defendant knew that he could be arrested. There was a video of the assault. He went and banged on Cassie's door with a hammer. The neighbors were going to call the police. They did, in fact. Carrie Morgan had the LAPD card. KK suggested that she had a fun drunk night. She calls and reaches out to Eddie Garcia. Eddie said no. And then KK shows up in person. He wouldn't show her the video, but he said on the record, it's bad. Christina Korm had the defendant call Eddie on his personal cell phone. Once Eddie said his boss will do it for $50,000, the defendant called him Eddie my angel. That's how he saved it in the cell phone. Eddie goes to deliver the USB. D-Rock and Christina Korm are there. Defendant counted out dollar by dollar for the bribe. Eddie Garcia told you the security guard told him he came up with the defendant. That was D-Rock. Eddie asked the defendant, what if Cassie calls the police? The defendant knew about this. Eddie finds the ID of the stand-in for Flores, and then NDAs are signed, and they're told, don't speak to anyone. Paying for silence is influencing testimony. In their opening, the defense suggested that it was just about bad publicity, and that police involvement would hurt him. The two are connected. The next thing that we're going to move on to is the trafficking under the RICO charge. And y'all have to catch that in part 3. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
What y'all thinking about this, man? And also, I didn't even speak on this. If we go here, what the hell is going on, y'all? Diddy and Justin Combs are being sued for sexual assault. A woman claims Justin flew her to LA and let 3 men in masquerade masks brutally gang R-word her. What in the fuck is going on, Ratchet Gang? What are y'all thinking about this? Did y'all hear about this? So this is all, they are going to stop at nothing until they get Diddy. Let's just keep it a buck. They're not going to stop until they get him, man. So it looks like Justin Combs is finding himself knee deep in this. It says, this is too much. Diddy and his son, Justin Combs, have been sued by a woman claiming that she was lured to LA and gang R-worded by multiple men, allegedly, including Diddy. According to TMZ, the woman says she met Justin back in 2017 on Snapchat. After sending him naughty photos, he offered to fly her to Los Angeles. She claims she was interested in working in the entertainment industry, and Justin allegedly said that he could use his connections to help her land a job. What are y'all thinking? What y'all thinking, Ratchet Gang? He said he can get her a job. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's with Pops. So, let's see. It says he was going to help her land a job. But, hold on. I almost exited out of this shit. Hold on. My bad. Where is it on Snapchat? It said, he said he can get her a job. But her trip didn't go as planned. When she arrived, she was taken to a Beverly Hills mansion where she met Justin. The first night went well. They hung out and relaxed. But then, the next night, it was very different. The next day, the woman claims Justin offered her poppers, weed, which she believed were laced, and alcohol. She went on to consume a few of the party favors and that she was offered. And when things went left, she claims 3 men showed up in masquerade masks. One allegedly being Diddy, who she recognized from his stature and mannerisms. She says Justin referred to him as Pops. After the men in masquerade masks arrived, she was taken upstairs and allegedly told, you better let this happen or else. From there, she claims the 3 men took turns orally and backdooring, R-wording her. While she was intoxicated, whoop-de-whoop-de, hold on, damn, I lost my damn, it said she was, he called him Pa, she went upstairs, it said she was taken upstairs, allegedly, said you better let this happen. They took turns R-wording her while she was basically not, you know what I'm saying, feeling too good. She alleges the assault lasted from Saturday night until midday on Sunday. Then on Monday, she was dropped off at the airport. The woman claims that when she spoke with Justin after the assault, he would allegedly hold it over her head and promise to connect her with a job in television, but it went nowhere. She's now suing Diddy and Justin for SA and battery, gender violence, and more. Diddy's legal team has denied these allegations. What are y'all thoughts on that? So they have denied look, it's coming out. There's another lawsuit coming out, y'all. There's another lawsuit coming out, and this girl is saying that she was lured to Los Angeles by Justin Combs, and Justin Combs was kicking it with her, and all of a sudden 3 men in masquerade masks come through the door, and she was taken upstairs while these 3 men in masquerade masks were in the house. Next thing she knows, she was orally and backdoored in the backside, not the front. They backdoored her, all 3 men on both sides and the mouth. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. They took advantage of her. She's saying she wasn't feeling so good, and they still did it anyway. And now she's saying, look, I hit Justin up after the fact, and I said, Justin, what's good, man? And he's like, look, it is what it is. It happened, but I'm still going to get you a job in television. Don't worry. And now she's like, you know what? Nothing ever happened with me getting a job in television. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sue you and your pops. They said they need to be straightened out. They said, so even if he gets free from the case, he still got cases to beat. Shaking my head. Remember the lady that said Odell, Drewski, and Diddy did the same? All of this is true. He's not just a freak. He is completely disrespecting women and men. Don't forget what they did to Bieber. You can't forget what they did to Bieber. Why Bieber ain't up on the stand? Why is none of the real victims of Diddy the things that we can prove these things? Usher. Why Usher not up there? Why all those kids that y'all know, you know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. Where the hell is where's the real case at? It's like, I don't know what they presenting in front of us, but now Justin, his son, is being drugged into his daddy's mess. Or is all his kids doing the same ish? And here we go, y'all. Another one. So let's get to this. It just doesn't stop. Though Diddy's trial is coming to an end, his legal troubles continue to pile up. A new alleged male victim has come forward with claims of SA and more. According to TMZ, Brandon Adams, who is represented by Tony Busby, of course, fucking Tony Busby. I thought this can't be in New York because they didn't ban him from New York. But anyway, Tony Busby is back on his bullshit. It says he was invited to a Diddy party in 2021. He was invited to a Diddy party in 2021 after meeting a chauffeur at the Los Angeles gas station. He says once he arrived to the party, he was instructed to leave his phone in the car. Once inside, Adams says he saw several celebrities, but instead of interacting with them, he had drinks that allegedly made him dizzy. Adams says he felt unconscious after finding an unoccupied bedroom, and when he woke up, there was a hand undoing his belt. He says he asked the person, "What are you doing?" And they responded, "You're about to get this Diddy love." I mean, you're about to get that Diddy love. Come on, man. Busby just always got some bull going on, bro. He got some BS going on all the time. So he says he was unconscious in a party. He wandered off to a bedroom. He gets to the bedroom. Next thing he knows, he's waking up. He's coming to. And there's a hand undoing his belt. And that hand said, "You're about to get that Diddy love." Adam says he was rolled over on his side, and the male voice said, "Don't worry, you're about to get a great massage." He claims once he turned to look, he was allegedly being backdoored by Diddy. Diddy had it in his backside. Once he figured out what was going on, he said Diddy already was giving him that Diddy love. He said he was getting that Diddy love. You're about to get that Diddy love. Yo, what the fuck? Could you imagine being drunk as hell and just waking up, turning around like, hey, you about to get that Diddy love, don't you? You can just go back to sleep. Nah, hell no. What the fuck you got going on, Diddy? So he says a hand was undoing his belt. He says he asked the person, what are you doing? And they responded, you're about to get that Diddy love. Adam says he was rolled over on his side and the male voice said, don't worry, you're about to get a great massage. Claims once he turned to look, he was allegedly already being backdoored by the diddler. Salute to the chat and the mods. I appreciate that two-piece. Salute, Paul. Salute, salute, salute. We got $72 on the screen. We 28 away from a honey bun. Let's get it. Let's get it. Adam says he tried to stop the alleged assault, but Diddy grabbed him by the neck and mentioned the details on his ID as a threat. Once it was done, Adam says Diddy left the bedroom and he was left with a vile sensation. After trying to confront Diddy in the party, Adam says security stopped him and told him he could leave nicely or the hard way. He claims he just left the party and they had him sign an NDA. After leaving the party, he says he was arrested for DUI, which he says is due to the drugs he unknowingly consumed. Diddy's legal team has already responded, stating, no matter how many lawsuits are filed, it won't change the fact that Mr. Combs has never SA'd or S-trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. We live in a world where anyone can file a lawsuit for any reason. Fortunately, a fair and impartial judicial process exists to find the truth, and Mr. Combs is confident he will prevail in court. Adams is suing for gender violence, SA, battery, and more. What are y'all thoughts on that, man? This is just, it just don't stop with Diddy. This shit just, once you pop, the fun don't stop. Diddy is just, it's never ending with Diddy. These cases are just piling up left and right. I'm like, man, Diddy, you ain't catching no breaks, bro. It don't even matter at this point, Diddy. One way or another, your ass is cooked. They gon' get you, Diddy. They not even finna play with you, dog. They want Diddy up out they way, and they ain't not lying about it. They want Diddy all the way up out they way. Let's continue. I forgot to show y'all that, but let's continue.
Diddy trial closing arguments are being laid out by the prosecutors against Diddy. This is part 3, and now they're talking about the trafficking charges, and right now it's about Jane, so let's get into it. The next racketeering predicate is trafficking. The defendants' inner circle assisted, whether they wanted to or not. Threats, illegal substances, lies, and illegal violence can make them have physical relations with escorts. This is not an attempt to criminalize dysfunctional relationships or personal behavior. They did not want to have physical relations with strangers while the defendant pleasured himself. They were covered in oil, sore, over and over again. We're not asking you to find that every hotel night or freak off was trafficking, or even the majority. You only need to find the elements were met one time. During one freak-off, that's it, and he's guilty. But it was more than once. Let's start with Jane. Consider the sobriety party and in Jane's house. Let's start out with the love bombing stage. Jane was head over heels. They traveled to the Caribbean. Dr. Hughes talked about this.
Hey, y'all, double tap that screen. Double tap that screen, man. We almost to 600 likes, man. Double tap that screen. We need 38 likes. Everybody double tap your screen. Everybody double tap your screen. Let's go.
With any witnesses, but it was like she knew them. Love bombing is a tactic. He was grooming her. He gave Jane e-pills. She fell to the ground convulsing. The defendant liked baby oil and red lights. Introduction to the freak-offs was in May of 2021. She wanted to please her partner. She was high, and the defendant had a freak-off set up that very night. An escort came. Jane was excited by that first experience. She didn't realize that she had opened Pandora's box. It became 90% of their relationship. For a while, she went along with it, and then she told him that she wanted to stop. There are texts about this. In this text message, Jane wrote, "I wanted to do things outside of these rooms to travel with you." The defendant ignored Jane's discomfort. Those hotel nights were not about what Jane wanted. They were about what the defendant wanted to see. He decided how long they would last. Jane said if she was going to have physical relations with strange men, she should choose which. The defendant made her ask for nude photos. These were not for her. When she asked to use protection, the defendant was not happy. He was dismissive and condescending. She would try to have it go faster, and he would order her to slow down. It was about what he wanted. He dangled carrots. He gave her gifts and money. He would lie to her repeatedly. She asked, "When are we doing a getaway?" He said that they could go on a yacht, but they didn't. Here is what Jane wrote in her notes app. "I don't want you to use me to fulfill your freaky wild desires in hotel rooms." He used his payment of her rent as leverage. The carrot turned into a stick. She wrote, "The threats are nonstop." He paid for her veneers because he didn't like her teeth. And then he said, "Look at the roof over your head and your pretty mouth and teeth." He wanted the all-star party, physical relations with 3 men, and she sent him a photo of her tampon. And he sent this voice note, and they play the voice note of Diddy saying, "I'm about to really disappear on you. I don't have time for this, baby girl. You got me on my job. You got to get on your job." Message couldn't be clearer. Not going to take no for an answer. After reading Cassie's lawsuit, Jane writes to the defendant, "I feel like I'm reading my own trauma. 2 of my birthdays, you forced me. You gaslit me. It was exploitation. You framed it as love for your own sick fetishes." Then the defendant called her and tried to trick her into saying that it was all consented to. He fed her a false narrative. Listen to this clip, and then they play the whole phone call of Diddy on the phone with Jane after she read Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. Dr. Hughes told you how a victim is trauma bonded to their abuser. Jane often felt that the defendant didn't listen to the truth. She said that Sean would say just move on. He told her to charge him, that the lawyers would be involved to buy her silence. So she asked for $100,000, a year for her to move on. She thought it was reasonable, far less than Cassie. But then the defendant went ballistic. She refused to adopt her false narrative. You can read the text messages. Jane wrote that the defendant was going to show her tapes to her father of her child. Then he reached out and told her to come see him in Miami. She makes it clear that she doesn't want a hotel night, and he says okay. Despite his promises, he called an escort. Here are more threats about the rent. Jane writes, "I hate worrying about the rent." And this is in 2024. He assaulted her and forced her to perform oral on an escort. This is trafficking. It was interstate, and the Astroglide crossed state lines. The defendant knew or had a reckless disregard of force, threats of force, coercion, or fraud that was used. Consenting once doesn't mean that she consented every time. One time is enough. In 2023, he made Jane feel like she would have a proper New York City weekend, but invited escorts. Jane sent him another message. "It's dark and sleazy, in fear of losing my home." And his response? It was, "Girl, stop." Then he would FaceTime her and told her about stopping and dinner. Lied. Look. He is also texting Paul Arthur as an escort. Look at these messages. He is setting up a hotel night. When she's in the air, he tells her he has a surprise for her. She did not want it. Before the plane even lands, it's a completed act of trafficking. He tricked her. Then under coercion, she calls Cabral to come to New York. In the next text, she says, "In New York, I knew you would pair me up with a random person." In the sobriety party, without substances, she was so disgusted that she vomits. She writes, "I'm not an animal. I need a break." And the defendant responds, "Let me spend the day. No strangers." And she replies, "You love bomb me." He switches from the carrot to the stick to the house. He texts, "Are you gonna let me into our house?" 8 times. Then he said he was sick and he needed her. She went and had physical relations with 3 different men without substances. After vomiting, he said, "Get back out there." In 2024, in Jane's house, 3 months after the Homeland Security agents searched the defendant's homes, they used Jane's house. He came there. They were supposed to have a fun date night. They drank and argued. She pushed his head into the counter. He followed her into the shower and hit her and knocked her down. He called Anton the escort and told her to have physical relations with him. She put on makeup to hide her injuries. She drove to pick up Anton at the gate. And then the defendant said, "Take this effing pill." He put his face inches from hers and asked, "Is this coercion?" He was brazenly acknowledging that he was breaking the very same law that he violated before. Jane didn't want to have physical relations with the escort that night. She said no, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. Jane performed oral until Anton finished. The defendant told security to bring cash to Anton. They didn't have it, and the next day he gave Jane the money to pay Anton. She Ubered the bag of money over to him. This is coercion. And then this is where they end for lunch, so I'll be back with part 4 soon, but y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
I don't know, gang. This is crunch time. Is Diddy about to go down for trafficking, bro? Is Diddy up out of here? Y'all let me know in the chat, man. Is this it?
The Diddy trial closing arguments are happening with the prosecutors laying out their arguments against Diddy. And this is part 4, and they're picking up with Cassie Ventura. So let's get into it. Let's turn to volume 2. We're going to talk about...
See, I did a poll. We got over 1,200 votes on that poll, and it's up to 53% to say Diddy's staying in jail and 47% say he's coming home. Y'all vote on that poll in the chat. Also, we almost to 700 likes. Double tap that screen and get these likes to 700. Let's go.
Cassie, with several examples. You know from sitting through this trial that force was not limited to these days. Through the decades that they were together, he forced her to have physical relations with escorts. Cassie was 19. He was in his late 30s. He signed her to a 10-album record deal. He took her on a yacht and he gave her e-pills. They had physical relations. They were in a relationship. She had just turned 21. The defendant was her boss, who called all the shots. He molded her. He told Capricorn Clark, "Let me show you," and then ordered Cassie around. She did it. Walk and turn around. Total compliance. He didn't take no for an answer. He was abusive, physical, emotional, psychological, and sexually. They want you to call this domestic violence, but he was forcing her to have freak-offs. He controlled everything. He demanded that her nails be done a certain way on red carpets. The Vanity Fair party in 2014, Deontay Nash told you, he shouted. Mr. Combs shouted, "I thought I told y'all she had to have her hair up." He wouldn't let her make money from her music. She was offered the chance to do a common video. Puff said no. He paid for her car, clothing, phones, and vacation. He made her dependent. He did it with her family too. After he found out that she was with Kid Cudi, he demanded $20,000 from her parents to pay him back, or he'd release tapes. That month, in just this account, he had $3.2 million coming in and out. This was about control. Remember what Dr. Hughes said, when a victim is on unsure footing, the abuser has control. He punched her, he kicked her, he dragged her, and when it was bad, he hid her in hotels to heal and not be seen by anyone. You saw those photos and the video. D-Rock, Ruben, Pauly, they all knew. He even attacked her for attending a Prince party until Prince's security intervened. Mia and Mariah Morales described the abuse to you. Cassie told you when she got to the house, he threatened to release the tapes. He assaulted her in Jamaica. He beat her up in Las Vegas and she was curled under the toilet seat. She said that D-Rock cried. And then there's the assault at the Intercontinental Hotel that was caught on tape. For Cassie, this was her normal. She was there when he attacked Mia, Deontay Nash, and Vanna Bongolan. Vanna may have gotten the date wrong, but she still had the injuries. One time, he had Cassie hold weapons for him. The diner and Suge Knight incident, do you remember? Cassie was in the house. She saw. Why didn't she leave? Dr. Hughes explained that hitting leads to fear. Even when Cassie was in South Africa, she could not get away. Christina Korn kept calling. D-Rock was loyal only to the defendant. He kept playing both sides. He would talk to Cassie and then report it back to the defendant. And then they showed D-Rock's text message to Diddy saying she's about to ice up. I told her to chill out. They met for dinner in Malibu. And then he R-worded her on the living room floor. She said no. She cried. But he didn't take no for an answer. He R-worded her. He wrote, "I could tell I didn't turn you on yesterday." And that's because he R-worded her. Because of the trauma bond after the R-word, she met him at a friend's party and then they had physical relations. It was consensual. This was a trauma bond. He had an MO. The MO was these long-hour performances that he pleasured himself to and sometimes filmed, just like with Jane. Sometimes the defendant told the escort to urinate Cassie, and sometimes he on her himself. Why? To turn himself on. She became addicted to the illegal substances. Here she wrote, "I love our freak-offs when we both want it." Jurors, this is not an all or nothing situation. There were times that he knew that she didn't want to do it. That is trafficking. She obviously didn't want to have an escort urinate in her mouth while she lay on the floor. Let's talk about the videos. You've seen clips. You see her having physical relations and pleasuring herself. The defendant is moving the camera around. At times, he focuses on the escort and not on Cassie at all. It's clear this was about his fantasy. not Cassie's. March 5th of 2016 was the Intercontinental Hotel video. After this incident at the Intercontinental Hotel, Cassie had a premiere. It was a big night for her. She agreed to a freak off as damage control. Look at this. She says, I don't want you thinking I don't want to. She knows that the defendant won't take no for an answer. The defendant gets Jules to come, and you know what happens. An argument. The defendant hits Cassie in the face. All she can think about is her movie premiere. She takes off without her shoes. And they play that video of Diddy assaulting Cassie in the Intercontinental Hotel hallway. He throws her to the ground. He kicks her and then drags her back to the room where Jules is waiting. Why is dragging relevant? Because Jules is there. Freak-offs have multiple sessions, and they were between sessions. He leaves her, but he takes her bags, but she doesn't follow him. Instead, Cassie is using the phone in the elevator lobby. The defendant is making another conscious decision to take the bags into the room and then come back for Cassie with his hands free. And he grabs her phone and then makes the decision to stay. He stays even though he's in a towel and looks ridiculous. After Flores arrives, he stalls in the hall. He knows Joel's is still in the room, possibly unclothed. The defense claims that he took back the substances that day, but you can see he's in control. Cassie just wanted to get her bag and phone and leave. The defendant offered Flores money. This is a photo of Cassie in the car back to her house. She was wearing sunglasses to cover her black eye. He was forcing Cassie to continue with the freak-off. Defense may tell you that the violence was not connected to the freak-offs, but it was an attempt to get Cassie to continue with the freak-off. Later she wrote to him, I'm not a rag doll, I'm someone's child. There were freak-offs in New York with Daniel Phillips. Daniel Phillips was not paid for his time. This is a ridiculous argument. In one freak-off between sessions, the defendant told Cassie to come in the bedroom. She continued using the computer, but then the defendant threw a bottle at her, dragged her, and then slapped her. Danielle Phillips heard Mr. Combs yell, B, when I tell you to come here, you come here. After that, Danielle Phillips could not perform, but a completed act is not required for trafficking. This is trafficking. In Keynes, they were at the film festival. The defendant accused Cassie of stealing his illegal substances. He threw her off a boat that they were staying on. Mia heard an audio of this and recognized the voices. They flew back to New York. She traded seats to get away, but he followed and showed her the freak-off videos. And then he threatened to release the tapes. When they got to New York, they had a freak-off. This is another clear-cut example of coercion. He threw her off a boat without her passport. He wanted Cassie to be afraid to say no to him. Cassie said it herself. I didn't know what no would mean. What no could turn into. He could be violent. The defense said Cassie made a choice every day to stay with him. Step back. Imagine yourself as Cassie. This was force. This was the leverage. There were substances, dissociative and numbing. She needed that buffer. Yes, some of the messages are explicit. That doesn't mean she wanted to have physical relations with an escort at freak-offs. In 2009, Diddy wrote, You're supposed to be seducing me all day. Cassie told the defendant that she didn't want to do freak-offs. Take her birthday party, for example. Deontay Nash told you about it. He demanded that she freak off, and she did. What choice did Cassie have in the end? She did not have the freedom to make voluntary adult choices. And this is the end of part 4, but we'll have the rest in part 5. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Man. This is a lot. I ain't gonna lie, bro. This is a lot to take in. No Diddy. This is a lot, though. When you think about it, bro, they on his ass. Not the way he
The Diddy trial closing
and not the way he like it.
Arguments are being laid out by the prosecutors against Diddy. And this is part 5 of their full closing arguments. And they are going back to the RICO charge. And they are saying Christina Korm knew. So let's get into it. Let's go back to count 1, the RICO charge, for a minute. While it was the defendant in the freak-offs, he had help. From Christina Korm, from D-Rock, Fahim, they knew it was wrong. How did they facilitate it? Christina Korm got strange men access to rooms the defendant and Cassie shared. KK got Clayton Howard access to the room. Jonathan Perez found the video of Jane having physical relations with an escort and he showed it to KK. She knew. Fahim saw it too. Fahim got the illegal substances to the defendant during the freak-offs and between sessions. On February 18th of 2024, after Jane told Christina Korn what was happening, KK still sent stuff for the Wild King Nights. D-Rock iced Cassie's black eyes. It would be absurd to think that D-Rock didn't know what they were doing. Of course he knew. I expect the defense will say that they didn't know. David James saw a stranger. Deontay Nash saw one. Jonathan Perez saw the video of Jane having physical relations with another man while the defendant watched. Interstate travel for Prosta. The defendant paid the escorts. He caused the travel. He sometimes booked it. The transportation counts do not require force, fraud, or coercion, even if consented. We know that's not true. It's still a crime. It's just knowing transportation with the intent that the individual engaged in prosta. For count 3, freak-offs involving Cassie, the escort's travel was often booked by travel agents. She reimbursed Dave Clayton Howard. He would travel from New York to Miami or to LA. Another escort traveled to Ibiza. Then the government shows an exhibit and they say this is Jules Theodore at the London Hotel in New York. The defendant asked Jules the name for the ticket. The defendant's Amex bill show he paid for the car. There's a $2,000 bill from the London Hotel. The defendant texted, "I will tip you." For what? Physical relations. For this incident alone, the defendant is guilty under count 3, but there's more. More Jules at the London Hotel, starting at 7 a.m. Consider this. Paul going to Turks. The defendant says, "How should I pay?" He paid for Paul's travel to Turks for physical relations. Here, Reggie flew from Las Vegas to LA for physical relations. He is never tired. Jane sent $1,100 via Cash App. Here is the hotel folio. $4,000 of damages. The hotel staff found bodily fluids on the floor. It couldn't be clearer. Every time KK helped arrange the travel for the Wild King Nights, she was a part of the crime. She may not have liked it, but she did it. KK set up travel for the Wild King Nights in Vegas, and then they play a voice note by Diddy. The wildest Wild King Night in Vegas. KK knows. Who heard of forced labor of 4 women? Cassie and Jane, and Mia and Capricorn Clark. Cassie and Jane, it was grueling sexual services. Cassie called them grueling, up to 4 days, maybe even more. Jane said the same thing. Cassie and Jane were on call to perform the freak-offs for the defendant whenever he wanted. He used force or threats of force. He would say, "Let's finish on a high note. Let's push through. You're not tired, are you?" It took weeks to recover from these freak-offs. That's forced labor. Christina Korn kept setting up hotel rooms and flights. Let's turn to Mia. She worked for Mr. Combs and then finally at Revolt. She said she went 5 days without sleep. Combs essayed her. He put his hand up her dress. He came into her bedroom and penetrated her. He came into the closet and forced her to perform oral on him. There was a time in the bathroom on the private jet that she can't fully remember. Repeated traumatic events. And now they're going to get into the obstruction and witness tampering charges, so that'll be in the next part. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Boy, they got so much shit on Diddy right now. They got so much shit on Diddy as we speak. It ain't even looking good for him, dog. I don't know. I don't know how you make it up out of this. I don't know how you make it out, Diddy. But yeah, you got a long way to go, my friend. But all in all, we're gonna find out a verdict here real soon. There will be a verdict in this case very, very soon. And Diddy ain't gonna be able to run from this verdict. Not at all. He ain't gonna be able to run from this verdict the same way that Keefe D put him on blast, and he never went down for the shit that Keefe D said. But this should have been a crime in its own right here. This right here should have been a crime. This should have been a damn crime, Diddy. Now, if you should have got charged for something, it was this. Boy, he was high as hell, too. You look at his eyes, boy, Diddy was high as hell.
Play whatever you want to play, baby. Just here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shake to that, shake to that. Work. Travis Scott, new album. Something about Play whatever you want to play, baby. Just here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shake to that, shake to that. Work.
That's the look right there of a guilty ass man. He did some guilty shit that night. Look, Diddy did something strange that night. I don't know what it was, but it was loose. I don't know what Diddy had going on in this certain scenario in Toronto. He's like, this ain't no motherfucking wig. This a frontal. He's like, this ain't no wig. No, he said, this ain't no wig. This my motherfucking natural. I'm like, what the fuck, nigga? That is not your hair. Like, he said, this ain't no motherfucking wig. This my natural. What you talking about? Like, boy, Diddy, sit your sassy ass. This ain't no motherfucking wig. This is my motherfucking natural. What is you talking about? Diddy, sit your ass down somewhere, dog. Sit your ass down somewhere, diddler. You got diddled that night. I'm sure of it. Let's continue.
Diddy trial closing arguments are being laid out by the prosecutors against Diddy. And this is part 6 and the final part of the prosecutors' closing arguments against Diddy. And they are bringing up the obstruction and Diddy's witness tampering charges, saying he knew what he was doing by reaching out to people that were going to testify against him. So let's get into it. Now, for the witness tampering and obstruction after Cassie filed her lawsuit, this weaves the whole story together. Jane wrote, "You gaslit me." She posed a problem for the defendant. Mr. Combs called Jane. The calls were recorded on Christina Corm's phone. You can listen to them. On November 19th of 2023, Cassie's lawsuit was already settled, but he was afraid of a criminal investigation. He calls and asks, "What can I do to make you feel better?" He says, "I can't be speaking on the phone." He's worried that the U.S. will get 3 years of his text messages with Jane. While he's recording that phone call, he tries to convince her that she was willing. He said, "We just did some kinky stuff. I thought we both enjoyed it." And yes, this is the same phone call that I played about a week ago where we kept hearing Diddy say for 100 times, "You know what I'm saying? I can't talk over the phone," then continuing to talk over the phone. And they're playing this phone call for the jury, and they say, "Do you hear that?" On the recorded call, the sound of notes being taken with a Sharpie to plan how they get what they want Jane to say. You've seen this in this trial. The lawyers passing notes to each other. Then Mr. Combs had D-Rock reach out to Mia, asking her to say something. Mia told you her reaction to this call. She had seen the defendant bash Cassie's head in. D-Rock had seen it too. He was asking her to agree with the lie. As the federal investigation grew, they kept reaching out to Mia. D-Rock calls her 5 times in a row. The chart Ms. Saneker presented to you brings all of this together. The defendant's conduct towards Mia is also obstruction and witness tampering. Also obstruction is the video of the Intercontinental Hotel assault. It's bribery, but also obstruction. Finally, venue. We only have to show an act in this district. It doesn't have to be criminal. The Southern District of New York includes Manhattan, the Bronx. Count 2, the freak-offs in Manhattan. Count 3, the freak-offs with Jules at the London Hotel in Manhattan. Count 4, Jane in Manhattan. You spent the last 7 weeks listening to a lot of the evidence that was hard to hear or see. You heard from Kid Cudi, whose house was broken into and whose car was burned. You heard from Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura, Deontay Nash, Cassie's best friend, how he ran the enterprise with total control. It's time to hold him accountable. It's time to find him guilty. And this is how they end the prosecutor's closing arguments against Diddy. Now, Diddy's team will put on his closing arguments tomorrow morning, and then the prosecutors will do their rebuttal, and then the judge will give the jury instructions before they start deliberating. We're really getting to the finish line of the Diddy trial, but y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
Man. The finish line, y'all. Diddy is about to reach the finish line.
Prosecutor just walked the jury, count by count, through her racketeering roadmap. PowerPoint clicks, photos of the inner circle, and plenty of quotes. So here's exactly how it went. Let's break it down. I'm an attorney and I read what happened, so you don't have to. We'll start with count 1, racketeering conspiracy. The prosecutor flashed the 4 elements on the screen. 1, there was a conspiracy to participate in the Combs enterprise. 2, the enterprise affected interstate or foreign commerce. 3, the defendant knowingly and willfully became a member. And 4, he knowingly agreed that he or another member would commit 2 racketeering crimes. She stressed, When I say enterprise, I'm not talking about the company called Combs Enterprise. The enterprise is Combs plus his trusted inner circle. It existed to serve his needs, and what he said went. Up came a photo of Chief of Staff Christina Courtroom. She knew where the defendant was and what he was doing at all times. She made the defendant's life her life. Security staff next, armed and ready, plus longtime bodyguards who were at the defendant's side for some of the most violent acts. Assistants were, quote, the foot soldiers, she said. They didn't blink when they were told to facilitate a crime. She noted payroll, Brenda Paul at $100,000, Courtroom at $600,000 a year. The defendant used the money from his businesses to facilitate the crimes that he and his inner circle committed.
We need 50 people to double tap that screen and get us to 700 likes. We need 50 people double tap your screen and make sure you vote on the poll. Let's go.
Racketeering acts the jury can pick from: distributing substances, kidnapping and forced labor, arson, bribery and witness tampering, facilitating Combs' trafficking of Cassie and Jane, flying in girlfriends and male entertainers. Prosecutor reminded the jury that they must unanimously find Combs knowingly agreed to at least 2. She started off with substance distribution. Substances were an essential ingredient of every freak-off, she said. He fed them substances for years, and you know he didn't get those substances on his own. He used his enterprise, she said. Searches found various substances. Quantity isn't required. This is a substance distribution. Plain and simple. Second, kidnapping and forced stays. She replayed Cassie's 2009 story. Face stomped in a car, forced to stay a week at the London hotel. It's clear Cassie did not consent, but she had no choice. She knew what happened when people said no to the defendant. The prosecutor linked in assistant David James. He remembered her bringing her ice cream while security kept her inside. He then recapped the 2011 Capricorn Clark incident. Weapon to the door, get dressed, we're going to Cuddy. Clark testified that she watched Combs kick Cassie when they returned. The enterprise's purpose was to protect its leader. Not Cassie, not Capricorn, she stated. Next, arson. Kid Cudi's Porsche, January 2012. Roof sliced, Molotov cocktail dropped inside. Of course the defendant was behind it, she said. She played the timeline. Combs told Cassie to have the car blown up. Cassie emailed about threats, and the car burned 2 weeks later. Cuddy meets Combs, and the attacks stop. She said, quite a collection of coincidences, but you know it's not a coincidence. Next, she moved on to bribery. Intercontinental Hotel, March 2016. After assaulting Cassie, Combs tried to hand the guard a stack of money, and when Flores refused, damage control mode. Courtroom hunts for surveillance video. Guard Eddie Garcia offers it for $50,000, signs an NDA, walks out with $100,000 cash and a brown bag. Think about why the defendant told Garcia, don't make any big purchases. That moment tells you everything you need to know, the prosecutor said. Closing argument for the government is still going and is expected to last a few more hours. So make sure to come back and let me know if you have any comments or questions down below.
Man. Let's put it in a nutshell. No Diddy. That pretty much sum up the case right there.
Hey, TikTok, it's Keith, the lawyer. I'm a lawyer, not your lawyer. This is not legal advice, so talk to your own lawyer for that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Diddy trial, which has wrapped up and is about to go to the jury. I have been saying all along with this Diddy trial, I've been just waiting for him to go down fast and hard because he's in federal court, and they call trials in federal court are often referred to by defense attorneys as a slow guilty plea because of just the enormously high conviction rate in the federal court system. Because that's because they have absolute discretion in who they charge and who they don't. If there's a case that's marginal, they can just defer it off to state prosecution and say, we're not going to prosecute this. And the ones that they pick to file and the ones that they pick to actually try, they are considered to be absolute winners. But with the way that this trial has worked out, the way that Diddy has been charged and the evidence that has been put on in his trial, it's really got me questioning what, if any, conviction is going to come from it. Now, I think there has certainly been proof that Diddy is a horrible person. He is not someone that anybody should really desire to associate with or to be around, and it looks like he's got some problems, right? But that doesn't mean that you're a criminal. That doesn't mean that you're guilty of crimes. Specifically, the main charge that Diddy has over him is the RICO charge. Well, for starters, the way the government charged this, they charged him alone in a RICO case. Now, a RICO case requires there to be an organization. That's what the O stands for in RICO. You have to have a criminal organization. Now, they have people that they have identified as co-conspirators, but at least at this point, they are unindicted co-conspirators because nobody was charged along with him. So on that RICO charge, the government, after both sides rested, they actually went through the indictment and dismissed several of the charges and are no longer pursuing a guilty verdict on them. I'm really surprised that they didn't do away with the RICO charge, because the proof for it, I haven't watched the entire trial, but I've watched a lot of it, and I don't see anything there for proof of RICO. I'm a former prosecutor, former criminal defense attorney, so I got a little bit of experience in that area. But the other charges that he's been charged with, all of the transporting people for various illicit activities, which I can't mention the name of, or my video is going to get flagged. There's a lot of consent there. There's a lot of people who are in, long-term association, and I'm talking about over years, and then they're going to come in and say, "Oh yeah, I was taken advantage of." Looks like you were riding a gravy chain there, Darla, and I'm not really sure that anyone's going to have a lot of sympathy for you. So, while I've been looking for straight guilty verdicts the entire time this Diddy thing has been pending, I think that there's at least a reasonable chance for some guilty pleas, and at this point, I wouldn't be completely shocked if it was not guilty across the board, which would be just very, very surprising for a federal court prosecution to end that way, because those guys normally don't lose, and it's not because they're so good. It's because they get to handpick slam dunk winners, and somebody chose unwisely here. Anyhow, that's our video for today. I'll do an update when we have more information. Thanks for watching. This is Keith the Lawyer.
Well, do we have a guilty verdict on the way, gang? Let me know in the chat, do we have a guilty verdict on the way? I don't know. Diddy is getting away with too damn much. Who's going to be at the court tomorrow? That's it. They just finna do the defense is finna rest their case. I mean, they already rested their cases, but the defense is going to do their, you know what I'm saying? This is it. The final speech, basically. Shit, this is it. Closing arguments. This is it. Opening arguments, closing arguments. They're going to close the case out. So the defense is going to do their closing arguments tomorrow, and then the government will do their rebuttal real quick, a brief rebuttal, and then after that, the judge is going to give the jury deliberation. He's going to give them a rundown of what to do before they go deliberate, and then that's it. He's going to give them jury instructions. He's going to instruct them on what to do, and then they're going to deliberate, and then that's it. The case is over. There ain't nothing more to it other than that. They just fixing to They finna sum it up. The defense is gonna rest their case as far as they're gonna do their closing arguments tomorrow, which I don't think last all day. I think that might last. I don't know what time court starts. I think it starts in the morning, but I'm guessing court will be over by 1 or 2, possibly. I think court will be over by 1 or 2 tomorrow. Also, we are going back to New York, Ratchet Gang. I don't know if anybody was in here at the beginning of the live, but we are going back to New York at the end of this week. We will be there, and we're going to be there for Verdict Watch as well. So we're going to New York. I will be there all next week covering the case from the courtroom. Again, y'all already know, man, your boy Big Ratchet is going back. I told y'all I was going back for the verdict, so I don't lie to y'all. I just had some stuff I had to come out here to handle, and then I'm going right back to New York. So I'm going back to New York, and so I think he will get out soon. We finna see Big Baby, so he might be free. Hey, no, he ain't gonna be free tomorrow. No. They got to deliberate. That's gonna take next week is when tomorrow they're gonna finish the case, and then I think Monday deliberation should start. I think Monday deliberation is gonna start. Will you be here? Will you be here tomorrow after the verdict? The verdict will not be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I don't even know that they start deliberating tomorrow. I know that the defense is going to rest their case tomorrow. So, they're gonna do their closing arguments tomorrow, and then the judge still has to give them jury instructions. So I think that might take up the entire day. And as far as me, I will be out there next week to cover the case. I said, be honest, there's a chance he will be. A chance, you mean he would be free? Yeah, of course there's a chance he could be free. There's also a chance he could do life in prison. Diddy and R. Kelly, same place. They say the family was there today. They said to make a big deal over. Yeah, it's going down. So y'all might as well get ready. It's going down. Verdict Watch is going to be in full effect, and we gonna be there. We gonna be there to cover all of it. So definitely we gonna be in the building. Y'all know Big Ratchet going back. I gotta go back. So it's only right that we get back into this case and cover it the right way and bring facts, man. Whether Diddy goes down for life, whether Diddy's found guilty, or whether he's found not guilty, doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to y'all. We just here to cover the case. We want to see a fair trial. Was it fair? I don't know about it. It kind of fucked him over a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. But that's neither here nor there. The case is over now. We are at the butt end of the case. This is it. The case is over, y'all. Tomorrow will be the last day that y'all will hear anything from any side. Tomorrow will be the last day. From that point on, they're going to turn it over to the jury, and Diddy's fate is in 12 jurors' hands now. It's over. Ain't nothing else the defense can do. There's nothing else the prosecution can do. They've presented their case. They're about to end theirs, and this is over. So this is it, y'all. Let me know in the chat, how do y'all think this turns out, man? Is Diddy going to be found guilty? Is he going to be found not guilty? What do y'all think? But, of course, we going to be there when it happens. Ratchet Gang will be in the building. I will make sure to get y'all breaking coverage as it goes along. We going back to New York, Ratchet Gang. So get ready to see us out there for Verdict Watch, Verdict Week. I think it's going to take 4 to 5 days. I think definitely it takes 4 to 5 days. I think Monday they start. I think by Thursday this is wrapped up. It might go all the way up into next Monday, maybe. I think it'll definitely be over by, I think Monday be the last day. Next, not the Monday coming up, but the Monday after that. So I think it'll go on for about 5 days, man. I think 4 to 5 days. I don't know. I don't see it going past 4 days, but you know, how do you think Lucci feel? I don't know, man. You got to be happy you're home. He said, yeah, they have a lot to go over. Yeah, so they're going to be deliberating for at least no less than 2 days. Cassie and Jane is somebody's daughter. It's a good night. I think they'll be done before the 4th. And we're going to see. We're going to see if they're done for the 4th, man. But all in all, y'all make sure when this video ends to get in that comment section and let me know. I had to pop back out and do a live for y'all. I went live last night, did some great footage on the Trump situation. Y'all make sure y'all better tune into my channel, man. I got some of the best content. I don't care what nobody say. My content is bar none the best. Salute to the gang. Salute to the gang. Salute to the mother gang, man. I love y'all. I appreciate all the love and support. Y'all was loose on the likes. It's all good. Double tap that screen, man. And y'all was loose on the donations. It's all love. We ain't tripping. But y'all better help me out in my damn trip, man. This shit is expensive to go travel out there and do this shit for y'all, man. This is not a cheap trip. So y'all better be sure to support the channel along the way when we going to cover this great content. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in, pulling up, popping out, showing up, and showing out as always, Ratchet Gang. I appreciate y'all for tuning in every night, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. I love each and every one of y'all. Salute to all my mods. Y'all be doing y'all best. I don't even be watching y'all. Y'all just be out there cooking. I appreciate my mods so much. So if you got that blue by your name, you already know it's love from Big Ratchet. And if you're green and you pay to be you know what I'm saying, one of our green members on this channel, you got a membership, you know you're near and dear to my heart. So salute to all my green members. Salute to all my moderators. I love each and every one of y'all. You know what I'm talking about? It's your boy Big Ratchet. That's Ratchet Gang. And this is Ratchet TV. Until next time, I'm going to see y'all on the next episode of Ratchet TV. We will be back live tomorrow night, man. I'll be back live tomorrow night. And y'all already know, man. Stay locked. It's going down. Your boy Big Ratchet. I'm gone, man. Let's get this jam going. I'm out. Man, my dog's up now. I was gonna run it back. My dog's going crazy in there. They're like, man, get your ass in here. All right, I gotta go, y'all. Salute, I love y'all. I'm gone, gang. I'm gone.